Well, Tom, the weather is heating up, and so is the postseason for baseball. Let's be honest, host. It's Tom's sport.
Listen,
Sport with uh, no S at the end, Tom. So I know this is really exciting for you. This is our 2023 baseball playoff preview show, and Tom, I can't even imagine just how excited you are right now.
it's baseball time. I'm pumped, right? Come on. We got right now 24 guys that are going to come in today, or a couple that we pre-recorded because they couldn't get here. But listen, baseball, you always ask for it. It's your time. This is all about you today. And let's really get into just real quick how we chose these members. We understand there are many top players who are not here. This is not necessarily about top players today. This is a small sampling of some of the top seeds per division. And then it is a player that was recognized as from one of the top seeds in the division. That's how it was chosen. And when you look at the A and B divisions, you're really talking about 2 from A1, 2 from A2, right? Like there isn't a ton of people. That's how they were chosen. So we understand there are a lot of top players that aren't here that easily could be recognized because, boy, baseball is about some top players.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our shows before, including our softball previews, our football, basketball ones, very similar format. We're going to interview a couple players from each division, and then we'll take a break and we'll show you the bracket, and we'll talk about the teams in that division and what a sectional final could look like. So we will start in Class AA. Our 4 players we're interviewing will be Chris Kramer from Williamsville North, Robert Leach from Orchard Park, Tyler Reese from Lancaster, and Jude Lowry from Niagara Falls.
And then we're going to go to the A bracket. Nolan Smith, the defending player of the year, will be here from Hamburg. Cooper Rosano from Williamsville East, also a finalist for the Colpoys Barrows Cup. Jaden Serrati from Amherst, and Cooper Sackle from Williamsville South.
Then we move down to Class B, where you have Josh Tulin from Depew, Andrew Romessler from Akron, Xavier Mann from City Honors, Tyler Karen from Dunkirk, and Nick Gold from Springville.
And let's add in Josh Tulin, also a former Colpoys Barrows Cup finalist last year for Player of the Year. That's mixed in there. As we go to the C, Blake Herman from Gowanda, Peyton Dustin from Frewsburg, Trent Burchanowski from CSP, and Mike Cole from Portville.
Then we go down to Class D. We have Derek Ebersol, North Collins, Colin McPherson, Maple Grove, and Noah Schenk from Franklinville.
And then we go to the Monsignor Martin division, where it's Aiden Trimper from St. Francis, Ty Grazik from St. Joe's, Mike Zacher from Nichols, and Justin Ball from Canisius.
All right, those are the players we'll be talking to. But first, Tom, we have a very special interview to start out this show.
We're going to kick things off with Tyler Reese. What an amazing young man this is. He is a young man that is going through leukemia. It's a lot what we talked about when we've done things for Colt Matz. Tyler Reese is also going through something very similar. He gets a chance to tell his story as we kick things off. He gives us some Major League Baseball predictions. He gives us some predictions on Will North. He also tells us all about him. Please recognize a very good young man that is an inspiration to all of us in Western New York. Welcome, everybody, to the Western New York Athletics Playoff Preview Show for baseball. And I am really excited how we're about to kick this off. We are about to kick this off with an amazing young man, a true inspiration to Western New York, a true inspiration to anybody that follows his story. Let me now introduce to you Tyler Cruz. Tyler, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks.
So, Tyler, can you explain to everybody kind of what you're going through right now? Can you explain to everybody in your words what you're experiencing?
So what I'm going through right now is cancer called leukemia, and basically it's a type of blood cancer that's it's rare, but you can get it. And basically you just go through a few months of chemo. Well, first you go through an induction phase. No, hold on. there back up. There's two types of leukemia, ALL and ALM, I'm pretty sure. I have ALL leukemia, which I don't know which one. Huh?
B cell.
Was it B cell? So basically, when I first got diagnosed, I had to go through an induction phase, which I had to be in the hospital for a month. And they started chemo right away. And after, after that, basically the entire month was just giving me chemo. And then after I got discharged from that month, I had like a few weeks off, but then we started the next phase, which was consolidation. So then I had to go, and that started like mid February. So then I first went into Roswell, and then they started giving me chemo, but those were only like 1 day stays. So then I went home that day, and then we just did that for uh about a month, and then mid March, uh, I got as they say, a hiccup. I got diagnosed. I got pancreatitis, and what pancreatitis is it was very painful. It was basically like, I kind of forget, but it was in my stomach, and my pancreas, like in my middle of my stomach, was very inflamed, so it was very swollen. And that can happen overnight, which is what happened, because the day before I was fine. But then that night I woke up with like bad stomach pains, and then I had to go in the children's again for 2 weeks, and I had to have, and pancreatitis, like, it made me trouble breathing. I got a lot of fevers, and I had to put like air tubes in my nose so I could breathe. And then after those 2 weeks, I got home, and then uh, it was like a week or two we had to wait, and then I went back into Roswell for chemo in April, and then like a week or two into April, um we started the new phase, which was remission. So basically, then I just had to go into children's for methotrexate is a type of chemo, so I had to go in for that. And I went in. So the first day I went in for that. Then, since it was like it's a lot of chemo, so I went in Tuesday, and then depending about, because I have to clear the chemo before I can like leave, basically, like it has to be at a certain level, and it changes every time mainly. So then I went in Tuesday, and then I got home like Saturday. So then we had to do that for every 4 weeks. And then so I just got done with my third week of it, so I have one more to go. And yeah, yeah.
That's a lot, Tyler. And the fact that you knew as much as you did about what's going on, maybe even more impressive right there. I speak for everybody, Tyler. We're so proud of you. We really are. I just really hope that you know how proud not only you've made your parents, of course, but what you are doing for all of Western New York. You really are an inspiration.
Thank you.
So is there a next step, Tyler? So you said you still got
Yeah.
one more. What's the next step after that?
So basically, after this next week, if I don't get any hiccups and I'm fine, I think like in June, I just no chemo, no, like I don't have to go into Roswell or Children's. I just get it through a pill, and I have to take that like every other day for June, and then in July I start going in to Roswell for like 1 day clinics. So I just go in on a Tuesday, and they give me chemo there, and then I get to go home that day. So then, and then that's basically what it is for a few months. And then when I start school, um, should just be like once a month chemo. So I'm going in once every month just for a chemo.
Well, Tyler, we're all in your corner, first of all. So let's get to a little bit of the fun stuff. So if we're out in the field playing this year, what school would you have played for?
I would have played for Williamsville North.
And you would have been on the modified team, correct?
Yes, I would have.
Perfect. And then tell everybody what position you play in baseball.
I play primarily outfield, but I also play second base.
Oh, very different positions, right? So what are you better known for? Your speed or your arm strength?
Definitely my arm strength. I'm slower than a sloth.
No, you're not. Stop. So listen, I also see you're a big Yankee fan. Is that true?
Eh, more of a Braves fan, but I don't mind the Yankees either.
Okay, fair enough. So tell everybody who you play for in the summer.
I play for FCP. It stands for Full Circuit Performance.
And you're wearing the hat, and they have a special logo. Can you tell everybody what that logo means?
Yeah. So what this logo is every color represents a cancer. So light green, lymphoma; orange, leukemia; uh, light blue is prostate; um, pink is breast cancer; red is sickle cell cancer; and I forget what purple is.
Well, that's pretty impressive right there that you remember all that. And that's something that I know Full Circuit has done very, very well to be able to help promote. And in fact, your coach for Full Circuit has been a big part of promoting a lot of that.
Yeah.
So, and your coach Jeff Dietrich. So we'll recognize your coach for Full Circuit too. But Tyler, talk to me about, what does Tyler Tough mean to you? Like, you've got a great shirt, you could show everybody. It's the Tyler Tough logo. Tell everybody what that means to you.
Well, usually some people just see it as a logo or a shirt or something to make money on, but I see it as because I am tough and I it means so much to me.
And that's exactly it. You said that perfectly, no doubt about it. So, Tyler, my last question before I let you go here, right? We're about to start the playoffs here, right? There's some big matchups right here. Give me some predictions. Who you got?
Well, for the AL, Yankees aren't making it, and if they do, they're gonna get eliminated. I think the Rays have a pretty good shot, but also the Blue Jays. I'm a fan of the Blue Jays because I used to go to a lot of games when I was younger. So I really like the Blue Jays. I think they are gonna make it farther this year. Um, Maybe the Angels too. I wouldn't be surprised. They're doing pretty well this year. I really don't want to see the Astros in, but they'll probably make it again. And then for the NL, I obviously have the Braves because they're number one in the NL East. And if the Mets make it, they're gonna get eliminated first round because they're not very good. Um, I don't know about the Dodgers. I haven't heard much about them, but I would like to see the Phillies, but I don't really think they will. And then I think no, not the Cardinals, the Pirates too, because they're doing pretty well without O'Neal Cruz this season, which I was surprised by. Yeah.
How do you think Will North's going to do?
Who?
Will North.
Oh, for playoffs, yes. Well, when I went to the Tyler Tough game and threw out the first pitch, I noticed they're really good. And they have like one really good lefty pitcher that I noticed. He's also really good. I think they're going to make it far.
I like to hear it. Tyler, I want to say thanks so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see you when we get a chance to meet face to face. Just promise me you keep me updated as we go along here, and we'll keep all of Western New York updated. All right, buddy?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me start by introducing our next interview right here. He comes from Williamsville North. It is their shortstop. It is their top hitter right now, top on base percentage. He's one of the leaders at the top of the lineup. Let me introduce to you Chris Kramer. Chris, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Chris, let's start off with that in a personal note. You've been right now one of the leaders on this team, especially when it comes to batting average and on base percentage. That's getting on base and starting things off for this team. Talk about what that means to you.
See, I'm one of those guys that are hitting at top of the order, so I got to figure out a way to get on base, find a barrel, start us off for our team, and that's how we get things going in our North game.
No doubt, and you've absolutely proven that this season. But Chris, Will North is known as a very rich tradition when it comes to baseball. It really does. They're always in the mix for a sectional championship. Talk about what that means to you to be a part of such a history there.
So our Will North team goes by a role where it's a Will North team guy, and so that means where we're picking up on each other, we're caring about others for ourselves, and that was really build our team up to where we're not so good in the beginning of the year, but we've made it to where we're able to win this sectional title.
So listen, Chris, you may have been a part of the best series here in Western New York so far this year, right? Your series with Orchard Park as you split. But I want to talk about that first game when you were actually playing on the road versus Orchard Park. You're down 6-1 in this one. And I'll tell you, I heard it. That bench never stopped. You were in the game from the very beginning to the very end. Talk about how that team stayed together and that big comeback that you end up making.
Yeah, so basically a lot of our games that we've played this year, we've been down. We've known what that's felt like. We've known we always come back. I think we might have had 3 or 4 walk-offs this year. So we know we're able to do it. And the top of the order to the bottom of the order, they all know their role. They got to get on base, got to find a barrel, and that just led to the great win against OP at their field.
Honestly, it was a phenomenal game to watch. And I couldn't believe just sitting there, even when you were down 6-1, just how that team stayed into it. And that's a testament from coach all the way down to you guys, just how you absolutely made sure we're never going to give up. So, last question. Let's say right now, Will North goes on and does what they need to do and win a sectional championship. If that happens, what had to play out on the field in order to make that happen?
So it's got to start off with our pitching. Our pitchers got to throw strikes. They can't be walking batters. And then our batting order from top to bottom has to get barrels, get on base, get the game going, start off from the beginning, and play that complete game of 7 innings.
No doubt about it. Well, listen, Chris, we're going to wish you the best of luck. No doubt Will North will be one of the teams to watch in this playoff run. No doubt all of Western New York's going to be watching. Good luck the rest of the way. And I'll tell you, I can't wait to see how some of these games play out.
Thank you.
Our next interview here is the Orchard Park pitching phenom, as he's had the perfect game to prove it this year. I have next to me Robert Leach. Robert is also committed to go to St. John Fisher right now. Robert, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Tom. This is a great opportunity, and it's a great event being hosted by Western New York Athletics.
So let's start right off with what I already alluded to, perfect game, right? This is history, whether people realize it or not. It was the first perfect game ever thrown in the history of Orchard Park. You know what the history of Orchard Park baseball is. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I mean, there's a lot of great people that have come before me and a lot of great people that will come after me. So being able to put my name in the record books and be a permanent part of that is really special.
Yeah, so now let's walk through that game a little bit, right? First of all, what was working for you in that game? What was really where you go, man, this was on?
A lot of things go into that, but I think for me personally on the mound, it was definitely my first pitch strike. It's something that I get back to in every game that I pitch. It's something that me and my coach, my pitching coach, Coach Philly, whenever I come off after an inning, we're like, got to get back to the first pitch strike. So being able to come into that game and probably have a high percentage of first pitch strikes is really what was able to drive that game to what it was.
So when did you realize in that game, something special kind of going on here?
Well, it's something that sticks in the back of your head as a pitcher. I mean, a lot of guys, first inning, whoa, I got a no-hitter going or something. But it was probably the fifth inning where it really started to creep forward throughout the whole team, that there was that spark in the dugout that something was really going on here, and we got to keep this going for everybody.
Now, were people engaging with you or leaving you alone?
Well, it was back and forth a little bit. Everybody kind of knew to stay away and just let it happen. They don't really want to jinx it or anything. But, I mean, not gonna lie, there were a couple times where people were saying stuff and people were stop right now. We're not going to have that
And
happen.
listen, folks, that was a 1-0 game. This wasn't like it was a blowout and you were doing it. It was a 1-0 game. Now, how does it end? Even remember, in the seventh inning, not end, but in the seventh inning, this game is saved by Blake Schreiner laying out perpendicular in the outfield to save this game.
That was one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I saw that ball get hit. It was tatered, and I could see it falling into that left center gap, and seeing him catch up to that ball and make a just perfectly laid out was amazing to see.
It really was. So now, Robert, I want you to talk about the team this year, right? You have a special makeup to this team this year. It seems like you really have a good camaraderie on this team, which is really strong. Talk about how that has helped you guys out on the field.
Well, even from day one of practice, you can just feel something that clicks throughout the whole team. I've really never had a team that's been this, on the same level with each other, and there's really just something special that has happened between all of us. There's the bonds that we create, and the character that everyone has just matches so well with each other.
So you've already heard, we just did an interview with Will North, and I call this the series of the year, right? Will North and Orchard Park. Two phenomenal games that went back and forth both ways. Talk about that series and talk about how you guys had to come back in game two. So you lose the big lead in game one and then have to do the same thing where you've got to come back in game two. Talk about what that bench and what the whole area felt like during that game.
Well, that's two teams with a lot of energy. I mean, two teams that evidently never give up. We both have big comebacks in the season, late games, and just having to come in, and they gave it to us. I mean, they kept their energy high. They never got down, even though they were down 6-1, and those 7 runs that they scored, I mean, they're a great team, and that shows it. So we had to come back. We had to regroup ourselves. We had to take a breather and come back the next day and really show that we were still able to compete. And I mean, we did the same thing back to them at their field.
It was amazing to watch both ways, folks. Well, that's why I called it the series of the year. I want to talk about something that means a lot to me at this point in Western New York, and it's something that I've told on stories before, but it will, whether you realize it or not, has gotten to me from ever since. Robert, I think you were 9 years old at the time, right? You were a part of the Cub Scouts, and you played for me in a travel organization. We were with the Orchard Park Heat at the time is what it was. And I'll never forget, you and your dad walked up to me and said, you know how Robert does the Cub Scouts? And I said, I absolutely do. And he said, well, he nominated you for what you guys called the award of Citizen of the Year, is in essence there. And I was blown away by the fact that you wrote an article about me and had to present that article to the troop. And then you hit me with, well, just so you know, the troop all votes on all the best articles, and they voted for you too. To this day, I know you don't realize it, but that will be something that will be a memory of me for a lifetime, and I can't thank you enough for that. I really can't. And I just wanted you to know personally, I know it was years ago, it's still very close to my heart.
Well, I mean, as a kid, you pick up a lot of other people and see what they do, especially as adults. So seeing those people as role models in the community and everything, and that's really what, I mean, as a little kid, I looked up to you, especially as a coach. So I felt that you were the best person fitting that award, and being able to give you that, the flag, and everything on that day was really special, and I still look up to you as a leader and a coach.
You don't know how much that means to me. So last question, okay? If Orchard Park is to defend as the sectional champions, what has to happen out in the field?
There's definitely a couple things. I'd say the first thing is we have to keep our situational hitting. Just to name a few guys, I mean, Sam Storn, Lane Stobbits, they're 2 juniors on our team that have come in and clutch situations and just put in great hits and gotten runs across the board. And we need to keep that going. We need to keep our hit and runs going. We need that stuff to keep Finn together and hit top to bottom. The second thing I'd say is our pitching staff definitely needs to keep their work up. We've had a great, deep pitching staff so far that's really done a lot of great work, and we need to keep that going, and we can't falter and fall apart in the playoffs.
Listen, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
No doubt we're all going to be watching. Orchard Park, the number 1 seed inside the AA division. We now kick it over to Francis.
All right, I am with Tyler Reese of the Lancaster Legends. They are 9-4-1 overall this season. I believe you got, the 3rd seed in your bracket. And Tyler, let's start with this. 9-4-1 overall. You guys got off to a great start, 8-0. Tell me, what's been the key to your success this season?
I think the key, I think the key to our success this season was just playing good baseball. Limiting the errors, limiting them the free 90s, walks, like hit by pitches, and just keeping our pitchers' pitch counts down, making good plays in the field, and situational hitting. Guys 1 through 9, just hitting when we need to hit and getting on base. QABs are the most important thing, and all of our guys put together QABs.
You said 390s. Are you referring to home runs?
No, free 90s. Like when you walk someone, that's a free 90.
Oh, okay,
You're
free
giving them a
90
free
foot.
90, yeah.
Oh, that's good. I haven't heard that term before. All right, so I want to turn the attention to you real quick.
Yep.
So at 451 average, very good. If I would say, what do you think is the game aspect of your game you're most proud of?
When I get down the count, I like to swing a lot. So I like to I see myself in a lot of like 1-2 counts, 2-2 counts, 0-2 counts, and I fight back and I get to a full count and get the QABs, and hits just fall, or I get walked, or sometimes I strike out, but just getting the QABs and making the pitcher work to get me out.
All right, so last year you fell in the AA semifinals to Orchard Park. Tell me, what did you guys learn from that game, and what did you guys take into this season?
I think we learned a lot in that game. We had a bunch of errors in that game, and we were playing as a team, and we just didn't have enough. We just didn't. We just fell short a little bit. But this year we're gonna bring the intensity. We're gonna never take our foot off the gas, and we're just gonna keep on plowing, and we'll see where it goes.
You only a couple losses this season. Obviously, you fell to Orchard Park a couple times. Still, what would you say? I guess what do you think you learned from those losses? Is there anything particularly you've learned, especially like an Orchard Park team who we mentioned is very good this season? Have you learned anything about what it would take if you met them a third time to get that win over them?
Yeah, they're a very good team. They're amazing. They can hit and they can pitch. But I think we just need to keep the energy and just keep ourselves in the game. And we can do that by getting the QABs, limiting some free 90s. We have very good pitching, and we can hit 1 through 9, and that's going to be our key to success this year.
All right, if I could, break it down to a couple things. If you guys are ending up with a sectional championship, what is it going to take to get there? What's going to happen on the field?
We're going to play as a family. We're going to play as a team, and we're going to be like one unit. We're just going to play not for ourselves, for each other. And, if you get on base by an error, you're on base. You're going to help the team, and you're going to get there. And we just have to play together.
All right, well, Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. I'll now kick it back to Tom Prince, who's with Lowry of Niagara Falls.
You heard it. My next introduction, he comes from the Niagara Frontier League. He represents the team who won the Niagara Frontier League back-to-back years this year. Congratulations. I got Jude Lowry with me, who actually will be off to end trip this year to play ball next year.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. So, Jude, let's start off real quick, right? Coming into this year, what were the expectations, especially after losing a Player of the Year candidate, right? You had a pitcher, you had a stud hitter last year. What are the expectations early on in this season?
They weren't crazy high, but the goal was still very high. But we had a lot. We're really young, a few freshmen in the lineup, but we got it together, and it's rolling now, so.
And that's what it is. I mean, you can say you started out with a couple bumps early on, and then all of a sudden you got into league play, and it took off. When did it realize with the team when you guys go, we're good. Like we really are good.
It had to have been the first few weeks when we were on an undefeated stretch for a little bit, and I knew that we had something special. But took a few losses here, but it didn't, just made us stronger with it.
Well, listen, nobody's undefeated in Western New York anyway, right? So you could just see is it's going to take sometimes that thing to realize exactly where you are. So it's first time in a while we're going to hit the playoffs that you're actually going to play an NFL rival, right? You're going to play Lockport. You split with them this year. You won 4-1. You lost 6-1. Does either team have an advantage going into the playoffs because of how well you know each other?
I wouldn't say advantage, but I don't know. They're a good team. We're a good team. We're at home, so home field advantage, maybe we should take it away.
And that's significant, right? A home field advantage, knowing exactly where the bumps are. I know we talked a little bit about the field. You got a couple spots that play interesting, right? And having a home field advantage could be the absolute difference in that.
For sure.
So next, right? If you get by Lockport, you're going to actually face an ECIC 1 teams from there. How do you prepare for all these teams you don't know anything about, you haven't seen?
We played a few of them before the preseason, I'd say, but there's no team that intimidates us. We're a unit. We work together. No team is beyond us beating.
Dude, talk about the strengths you personally have had on the field, right? You've had a great season. That's one of the reasons you're sitting here with me right now. Talk about some of the successes you've had personally this season.
At the plate, just seeing pitches, working, hitting the ball opposite way, and on the mound, a lot of strikes, pounding the zone, have multiple pitches work for you. It always works out.
So you talked about this. You're a two-way player, right? You're gonna hit, and you're gonna also be on the mound. Where do you feel your biggest impact has been for the team this season?
On the mound, for sure. Had a good few outings. It's been a good season on the mound, I'd say.
There we go. That's exactly what we want to hear, right? So my last question. If Niagara Falls is to go on and win a sectional championship, what has to happen on the field for Niagara Falls to make that happen?
We got to continue to pitch the way we are. We got to swing the bats, timely hitting, not leave runners on base, and let our defense work and just play as a team.
There you go.
Never give up.
That right there is big. It's kind of the theme what we've talked about so far in a bunch of the other interviews. So, Jude, want to say thank you so much for joining me. No doubt you've been a big player this season. No doubt Niagara Falls is going to be right in the mix of things in this playoffs. I can't wait to see how it plays out. Good luck the rest of the way. All right, buddy? You're welcome.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
They're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For all your insurance questions, call the Wolf at 835-WOLF.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
I love being home.
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
I love being home.
One team with a dominant one-loss record, and that's the team from Orchard Park. Their only loss coming against Williamsville North. So the top seed seems on paper at least, to be the clear-cut favorite.
I don't put anything clear cut because I'll tell you, Will North already proved that this year because that one loss comes by Will North, right? So I wouldn't say anything's clear cut, especially when we talk about the AA division, because the AA is always something interesting plays out in this division. Though, if you look at the matchups early on, I love that 4-5 matchup and that 3-6 matchup right now, right? So the 3-6 matchup, Niagara Falls and Lockport, as we talked about in Jude Lowry's interview, right, has split on the year, right? They both split on the year. And that's going to be very interesting because we haven't seen two NFL teams come into sectional play to play each other.
AA, yeah.
Right?
Especially in
It's
AA.
always been that you're always playing, because it usually is those two are like 2 and 3 when it comes into the standings because the way they came out of the NFL. But this is very interesting to see how this is going to play out. And then when you look at the Will North Clarence, right? So Will North beats Clarence 13-5 in one game and lost 3-1 in another game. So I got a split on that one right there too.
Yeah, I'm still to go through a season and only lose one game. That's impressive.
And they probably have one of the best pitching staffs in all of Western New York.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing, right? They absolutely do. I think they're when I say the best, they're the deepest of all the staffs in Western New York,
fair.
right?
And because you know what's most shocking? What you told me before the season, what you thought about Orchard Park.
Right. I didn't think coming into the season that Orchard Park would come out and be the number one seed the way they have, right? We also know that we see Will North is always in the mix. Clarence is always in the mix, right?
Lancaster
This is nothing,
too.
right? Lancaster, of course, Lancaster's automatic, right? So really is you were just waiting to see how it was going to play out in the field. And absolutely, Orchard Park has taken what they have and run with it. Their one loss all year is to Williamsville North. But guess who you may have to play in the semifinal round, right?
Yes.
And you could say, and I said this before, that Will North Orchard Park series, you look at it, 3-game series. Go back to the playoffs that went last year, the championship game, the comeback Orchard Park had to make to beat them, which was the same kind of comeback that we saw in the first 2 games this year. So tell me, I'm going to tell you, if that Orchard Park Will North game comes to fruition, everyone should be watching that game because that's going to be crazy how that one's going to play out.
All Will North has to do, all in quotes, is beat Clarence, and those two schools, all these schools have had great matchups, whether it's Lancaster, whether it's Will North or Clarence or Orchard Park and Niagara Falls. They've all had great matchups from time to time. But it is interesting to see those two NFL teams in there.
Yeah, you don't see them play each other like that, which is the real, and again, the split in the season. Now, whoever gets by them, Lancaster has played Niagara Falls, one of the first games of the season. Niagara Falls lost to Lancaster 4-0. It was a great game right there. So you could kind of see, boy, the season is played out nice. That could be another great matchup, a 2-3 matchup. And you also got a 3, even if it's a 2-6 matchup, should be another very good matchup right there that we're talking about.
How many of these teams are playing better now than when the season started?
I think you can absolutely say that's the biggest team that deals with is Will North. I think Will North has really come on in the second half of the season. I do believe Clarence has also played much better in the season. They split with Lancaster too, so are playing well right now. Niagara Falls, you can see, they've only lost 3 games, right? They've had a great season so far out there. This is really going to be something to make out. It's not an automatic. I agree right now you got to give the edge to Orchard Park, but there's a lot of things that still need to fall in place to make that happen.
Anything you want to add there, Francis?
No, that's it for me.
Okay, well, that should wrap up AA, and we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with A1.
Both
A's
A1
together.
And A2 right at the same time.
We'll do A1 and A2 after this short break.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
They're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For all your insurance questions, call the Wolf at 835-WOLF.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
I love being home.
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
I love being home.
Our next interview comes from Hamburg. You better recognize him. He's the former Player of the Year last year. He was named Player of the Year by the Buffalo News as well as the Colpoys Barrows Cup. I want to introduce Nolan Smith of Hamburg. Nolan, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Nolan, let's start off with senior night, okay? Boy, senior night is emotional enough because a lot of people start thinking about, oh, my God, this is it. This is going to be it for me. And then your parents are always an emotional mess, right? I mean, listen, even a sucker like me is an emotional mess on a day like that, right? But you guys had a very interesting senior day, especially for you. You walk me through senior day?
Yeah, so we ended up having our senior day down at Gowanda because we're having our turf done at school at Hamburg and everything. So that was weird in itself. But we were actually playing against my dad. So he was coaching the other team, and so he we did our IO and everything, both teams, and then they had us line up behind home plate, and he was still doing stuff in his dugout, like getting everything going for his seniors, and they called my name, and I was the last one to go. It just kind of worked out like that with the alphabet, and so we were the last ones. He kind of walked in from their dugout, which was, it was a little weird. Him and his jersey, me and mine and my family, all dressed in Hamburg stuff. It was kind of a weird split, but so we got pictures and everything, and the usual senior day stuff, and I think they turned out pretty cool with him in the Gowanda jersey. But so I actually started the game after that. So I started on the mound. I threw one pitch, and then my dad actually, he pulled me out of the game, which that was an awesome experience. And just to see, him come from the third base box, the coaching box, call time, walk out, shared a moment out there. It was really cool. Something I'll definitely remember for.
And you guys walk off
time.
arm in arm off the field is what you do, which is to me is absolutely made. Now, did you know what was going to happen beforehand?
I had an idea. I learned the day before. I think Coach Hill came up to me and said, how do you feel about it? And I was all for it. So
that's awesome. And your dad is going to actually get a chance to coach you in a high school uniform officially, because your dad will be one of the senior all-star coaches.
Oh, is he really?
And he will be one of the coaches that, that we plan on seeing you there at that game, and you will get a chance right there to really be coached by your dad for one of the first times.
One more time.
So there's something that you maybe didn't know about right there. So that's fantastic. So listen, you come off a season that we talked about this. You were named Player of the Year, right? By 2 different places, you were named Player of the Year. Did any of that change any of the expectations coming for you this season? And I mean, by yourself, as far as expectations, or anything that you felt that was placed on other people outside media, whatever it was that got placed upon you?
I mean, there was definitely a level level of expectation. Not necessarily because I was named Player of the Year. It was more so, just from my team, trying to be a good leader, because I was a captain again this year. So I really took over more of a leadership role than I had last year, and I definitely felt some pressure from there, just to try to be the best teammate I could be, try to lead my team, and I knew that I would have to be the guy that steers them in the right direction, and that's really the real pressure that I felt, was trying to be productive for my team. I wasn't too worried about the awards or the stats or anything the next year, but they were great to get and everything. So,
well, no doubt you are having another good year. So let's this is not like this is a down year for you whatsoever, because it actually absolutely is a big year, and we'll see how it's going to play out. But now the playoffs begin, right? This is where a Player of the Year candidate starts to separate itself, right? And with you guys in Hamburg, to me, have got a very tough stretch right here. Your initial game is against West Seneca West, that we know has upset every team in the first round for, I want to say, the last 4 years is what that upset's come. Because Coach Helmbrick has had them ready, because what he's done is play up, which is what you guys did last year, and play ECIC 1, right? So you got West Seneca West, and then you've got to go against Will East, that you actually split the season series with right here, which again, and it all plays out. Let's say it all plays out the way it is. How do you get ready for both those teams and not overlook anybody along the way?
Well, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, not to overlook anyone. West Seneca West is definitely, they're a tough team every year. Like you said, we played them last year, and, we played some, really tough games against them. And it was, yeah, we're just looking forward to really the competition. We got to see, we got to show up and be ready, and yeah, just take it one game at a time, one pitch at a time, and hopefully get it done. And then Will East is we got that, we have that circle on our schedules every year. It's
and with them with the same thing, right?
Right. It's yeah, we got them, played them twice this year, two really good games, I feel like, and we they got us a second time, which kind of left a bitter taste. So looking forward to it. That should be another great game like it was last year, and just really looking forward to it. Got to stay within, and one pitch, one at bat at a time.
There you go. And if I'm correct, 2 years ago, you faced West Seneca West, and it was like a one-run game that you guys did. It was I want to say it was when you were sophomores when it happened, that it was a fantastic game right there, and it was them again coming from the ranks. So it will be very interesting to see how it all plays out. Obviously, you guys got the right mindset going into this. So now, I understand expectations. Now we talk about it are to try to get back to where you were at least last year, right? And hopefully finish the deal. So for you to even get to start thinking of that point, to win a sectional title, what has to happen on the field for Hamburg?
I think we have to, Coach Hill always talks about we're team 78. I think that's something we really that's really important to us, moving forward in the playoffs. Like, we have to be, we're not the team we were last year. We're not the team that it's going to be next year. We have to be ourselves. You have to play like us, and we have to know our role. Everyone has to know their roles. We've been playing good baseball down the stretch, and we got to keep doing that. Keep having good ABs, hitting balls hard, jumping on fastballs, and our pitchers got to keep throwing strikes. And I think those are really the big keys for us.
You said team 78. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Coach Hill went back, and I think I don't know. I don't even know how he figured it out, but he went back and counted something, went through yearbooks, I think, and ended up figuring out we're the 78th team that Hamburg High School has fielded on baseball. Wow. So he's kind of taken that, and we've adopted it as kind of, that's our identity, is Team 78.
Love it. There you go. See, we keep learning something new. I want to say, Nolan, thank you so much for joining me. Absolute pleasure. Can't wait to see how it plays out. You already know Hamburg, everyone's looking to see how this is going to play out. We wish you the best of luck, and no doubt we're all going to be watching.
Awesome.
Thanks again,
Thank
Nolan.
you very much.
All right, let's kick it now over to Francis.
All right, Tom, I'm with Cooper Rosano of Williamsville East. He is committed to Albany to play baseball at the next level. So, Cooper, let's start with that. I know you've been asked this probably a bunch of times. Why Albany?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Albany is it's a really good spot. It's really close. It's 4.5 hours away. It's not too far. The campus is beautiful. I love the coaches. Coach Kerr reached out to me, and ever since that first text message, I felt a connection.
13-4 on the season. Will East baseball is a strong, proud program. For this season, what's been the key to success?
So for us, it's facing adversities. Our saying is good. So bases loaded, good. For us, it's all about hitting the ball hard, getting the barrel, jumping on.
Before we get back to this season, last season you lost to the gentleman who is right next to you, across from you, Nolan Smith from Hamburg in that A1 final. What do you remember from that game, and what lessons did you guys try to take from that into this season?
Yeah, so mental mistakes. It's okay to make physical mistakes, but for us, we have to stay in it mentally.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so mental mistakes for us. So we made a couple of errors in that championship game, and I think it left a sour taste in our mouth.
You going back to this season, I was looking at your schedule, a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. You split Amherst, you split Will South, you split Hamburg. What did you make of those games with them? Of course, you played them back-to-back, so that all adds to it as well. Pick one of those series and tell me why it was split like that.
Yeah, so I'll pick Hamburg. The first game we lost, I felt like we had no energy. For us, our energy was off ever since the first pitch. And in the second game, we were there every pitch, every at-bat, every inning.
All right. Your average right now is 379. If I were to describe Cooper Rosano in 1 to 2 sentences as a baseball player, how would I do it?
That's a good question. For me, I think I'm a tough player. I think I've really taken over a good leader role on our Williams team. And, yeah, for us, good. For me, if I strike out, good.
All right, so you mentioned that's what you guys talk about,
Yeah.
good. Walk me through a little bit. What are you guys doing there?
Sure. It's for us, it's never to get down. So everything that we do, if we do something good, if something bad happens, good.
So you guys just scream it from the dugout?
Yeah, everything's for a reason.
All right, and then finally, the $1 million question. Williams East, what is it going to take for them to win a sectional title this year?
Yeah, for us, it's bringing the energy ever since the first pitch. I know that's why we've lost. So that's why we split games. We have to bring the energy every pitch, every at-bat, every inning.
All right, Cooper, thank you for joining us. We'll turn it back over to Tom Prince.
In our next interview, he comes from Amherst. It's Jaden Serrati. Jaden, you've come on the scene big time this season, right? And been probably one of the biggest surprises that we've been able to talk about. First, let's talk about the team, though, right? Amherst was somebody that not everyone was predicting to come out and win right now their division. You've done that, right? So talk about as a team, when you guys realized, hey, we got something special going on here. Because you guys are young. You got a lot of young players on this team, too. So when did you guys realize we got something special?
Yeah, well, first off, I'd like to thank you for having me. But, yeah, me and Coach Davis talked about it before the season even began. Right after tryouts, we would talk about how we had a deep rotation. We had a lot of pitchers. We had good bats from top to bottom of the order. And going into the season, we felt that this could be one of the best seasons we've ever had and that we had a really good shot at winning the sectional championship. So I think we've kind of carried that attitude throughout the entire season, and that confidence, while not being too confident, has allowed us to perform the way we have.
So that was almost from the beginning then. You guys
100%.
realized it. Was it seeing it in tryouts play out, or did it take the tryouts for you to see exactly everything you guys had?
I think, going into the tryouts, we kind of knew what our potential was from last year. We came up short against the Iroquois in the sectional finals, and that left a sour taste in our mouth for sure. And we were really determined to get back to it this year and to win it this year. So I think all of us having that attitude all kind of gave us that feeling of, yeah, we can really do it.
So a loss from last year has really spurred things on into this year.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about now, there's no easy game from here on in, right? It gets tougher as each game progresses inside to the playoffs. You could possibly face Star Point again if they win their first game. You split with them this season. You could see Will South down the road. You actually beat them twice, and you know how hard it is to beat a team the third time, right? What does the mindset change against any of these teams because you've seen them both twice and what's happened out on the field?
Not at all. I think we just got to go into the games with the same confidence we've had all season. We beat South twice and we beat Star Point once. So I think as long as we keep that confidence, keep doing little stuff like situational hitting, keep throwing strikes, limiting walks, limiting base runners, stuff like that, I think we can keep having success.
Yeah, and no doubt that I know that middle of the lineup is strong right now, and you are a part of that middle of the lineup right there. I want you to talk about your personal successes this year, right? You've had a great season this year. You've got a great stroke right now that I've seen a ton of video on. Talk about your personal success this year, especially hitting-wise.
Yeah, so earlier in the season, again, Coach Davis and I had a talk, and he said that he feels comfortable with me hitting in the 4 spot because, having runners on base, being able to drive them in. And I think I found a lot of success in that, and that also gave me confidence in myself to be able to perform in that spot. So as a result of that, kind of in my head going up to the plate, I have the mindset of I'm never going to get out. And no matter what, whether I draw a walk, hit by pitch, get a hit, anything, I'm always going to find a way on, and I'm always going to find a way to drive runners in.
There you go. And you've done that. You can see multiple times, even if it's just 1 for 3, right? You had something happen at that one at bat to make it happen. I got a quick question I want to go off here a little bit on you. You know you've got a professional baseball player that comes out of Amherst that Coach Davis is very, very proud of. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him or get any successes from him as a team when I say that, right? Has he been able to address the team or talk to the team at all?
No, he hasn't really talked to the team, but Coach Davis tells us stories and lessons he's learned from Jonah. So we kind of take that and build off of it and try to model ourselves around that.
And Jonah's having a great season too. He really is. So that would be his. And I know how proud Coach Davis is of him, right? He really takes a lot of pride in that, and it is great to learn because if it's a story that he learned, it's got to be a story that you guys can learn.
Right.
So the last question, right? If Amherst becomes sectional champions, what played out in the field to make it happen?
One thing we struggled with a lot this season is leaving runners on base. So I think that's something that we're definitely going to focus on during this week of practice and something we have to limit throughout our playoff run. The other thing is, like I said earlier, limiting walks, having quality at-bats, because if we can do those things, then that'll give us all the opportunity we need to be able to go ahead and succeed.
Well, that's fantastic. Jaden, I want to say thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
You absolutely have been one of the breakout players, one of the players to watch out for this season. Congrats on a great season. Good luck to Amherst the rest of the day. The rest of the way, we're all going to be watching.
Thank you.
Good job, bud. Now let's kick it over to Francis for the next interview.
All right, I'm with Cooper Sackle of Williamsville South Baseball. And Cooper, you guys have gone 12-7 this year, but very interesting. You started out kind of slow. You lost the first 6 or 7 and then turned things around. I think you won, 5 of your last 6. So tell me, how did you guys turn things around mid-season?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me. So the beginning of the year, I think a lot of our guys were too worried about playing for themselves, not for the team. But as soon as we started to buy into the team and just do the little things right, like dropping bunts, just get on base any way we can, just to not worry about our own averages, just the team average, then we started to win.
Was there a moment in a game? Was there a speech after one of the games when you think, that things kind of turned around, or was it just kind of a gradual thing that it happened naturally?
Yeah, actually, in the locker room after one of our last losses in our little streak of upsets in the beginning of the year, Coach Miller, our assistant coach, told us a story from his high school season in Jamestown where they were struggling all season, and he saw that we're not that team that they were, and he just taught us how to overcome adversity and start to roll.
All right, let's go back real quick to last season. You lost in the quarterfinals to Pioneer. Obviously, you're back in the playoffs this year. What did you learn from that game as a team? What did you try to take into this year?
Yeah, so I think we went into that game thinking we had it won a little bit. They're not a top team that we know of, but that's for this year. We need to go into it knowing that no one's unbeatable and we can do whatever. We just got to go up and be the best team that day.
All right, Cooper, if I were to describe you as a baseball player in 1 to 2 sentences, how would I do it?
I'm just someone that's going to get on for the team, do whatever I can to get on base, take a pitch, get hit by pitch, get a barrel, take a walk. Nothing's better than anything.
All right, Cooper, the $1 million question to end it. What will it take for Williamsville South to win a sectional title?
Just to move as a team, do the little things right, just play small ball if that's what Coach wants us to do. Nothing's bigger than yourself.
All right, Cooper, well, thank you for joining us. When we come back, we will be in our panelist room. We'll be talking about that Class A bracket. This is the 2023 Western New York Athletics Baseball Playoff Preview Show.
Thank you.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
You're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For all your insurance questions, call the Wolf at 835-WOLF.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
I love being home.
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
I love being home.
Preview show, and let's start out. Let's look at the team that went the furthest last year, Hamburg, having another good year at 12-5. Can they go as far or further than last year?
Listen, anything can happen, right?
I know that.
You know, they've absolutely shown that, you know, they've got a number one pitcher, right? And the beauty of how everything plays out, right? You can throw in essence, you know, it depends how you set it up, but you, in essence, could throw the same pitcher in the sectional final that you do in the regional finals that you do in the semifinal championship.
Because they have enough days in between the
Bingo,
games.
right? So theoretically, you've got, if you can get to that championship game and have your number one available, absolutely you can. Right? Are you going to bet? I'm not going to bet against Nolan Smith. I know you aren't going to. I know Francis isn't going to, right?
No.
You know, I mean, Nolan Smith is a reigning player of the year for a reason, right? Because of what he's capable not only doing on the mound, but capable of doing with his bat. So it will be very interesting to see, you know, what will happen. But this is a tough road. They are going to be tested along the way here. Not only tested within A1, if they are, you know, can get out of A1, you still got to deal with Amherst and Will South over in Will 2, in A2 that could possibly be coming out of there. But, you know, if you look at the matchups right here, look at that first matchup Hamburg has, and I talked about this in the interview with Nolan Smith, is West Seneca West. West Seneca West, I want to say, for the last 4 years has upset that first round game.
Well,
right?
That's a trend.
You know, and that because what West Seneca West does is they play ECIC 1.
Right,
so all season they've played Orchard Park, they've played Will North, they've played Clarence, they've played, you know what I mean, Lancaster. They are battle tested and ready to go, which is why you cannot overlook even that first game if you're Hamburg.
I see we have Niagara Wheatfield in there too, and that's another NFL team that's not matched up against an NFL.
No, that's an NFL matchup.
No, that is. Yeah, it's Kenmore West. Okay.
Right, so that's another NFL matchup that we got going on. Niagara Wheatfield definitely has got some star pitching that'll be out there that'll come into the mix here. If we take a look at how the season has gone for those two right here, we can see that when Ken West played Niagara Wheatfield, the scores were they lost 5-2 in game 1, and then they lost 11-4 in game 2. So you know early on what you're going to do is you're going to give the edge to Niagara Wheatfield, but We talk about this all the time, Stu. We've talked about it on air many a times. How hard is it to beat a team for a third time?
Oh, yeah, it's very hard. And I see Hutch Tech in the mix here. So tell me a little something about that team, because it's not often you see a team like that in a spot like this.
Yeah, well, again, it's because of how their PowerPoints go in their league. They play in the Buffalo League, is what they played on. I'll give you kind of some barometer games to watch out for. But the two barometer games I would look at for City Honors, for Hutch Tech, would be the game against City Honors, right? Because City Honors is a top team that we're going to be talking about in the B Division. They did lose 18-0 in that game, okay? And then they play Ken East, who is right in here. They played Ken East, and they lost 15-2 to Ken East. So if I'm going to look at two games, it looks like
Are they in A1 or A2? I'm in
they
the
were in
A2
A1.
bracket.
We're still
okay,
on A1.
I'll pull up the A1 bracket.
So you can see right here is I do think that they're going to have a tough time with North Tonawanda right there. Okay. And then Williamsville East, listen, Sweet Home is in the same boat right now as what West Seneca West is. Played that ECIC1, challenged themselves. Look at the game they played against Orchard Park.
Yeah.
Right? Even in that perfect game, it was a 1-0 game, right? So don't think that they can't be in the mix of things and that they can't have something to say inside this.
Plus, of course, it's baseball. So on any given day, you come out and your starting pitcher is hot. All it takes is some good pitching, a clutch hit or two. And stranger things can happen.
Yep. But I'll tell you, you know what I mean? And then, like I said, look at Hamburg's road, though, right there to get back there. They're going to have to beat a West Seneca West team. Could have to beat a Niagara Wheatfield team, which is very strong and can pitch, right? And then if they get all the way to the finals, right, we'll have to take on Will East again, right? This is not an easy road right there for Hamburg. For them to get back to where they're going to do, they will be battle tested and ready to go.
Well, it's good to have a Nolan Smith on your roster, then, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is.
Well, shall we move over to A2?
Yep, and we talked about this a little bit on air too, right? So if Star Point gets by Grand Island in there, right? Star Point split with Amherst this year.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, yeah.
So you're talking about that could be a great matchup right there. West Seneca East coming up, been hot as of late. Last 3 games, West Seneca East has come up with some big wins right there.
Well, you and I saw them beat West Seneca West.
Absolutely.
They played
right?
great that day.
And then you got Kenmore East, who will play CSAT, and you definitely like Kenmore East in that matchup, right? So you could see a Will South Kenmore East matchup. They've got a very good pitcher over there. In fact, the last time Kenmore East was big against Kenmore West, they had a big win. They got another pitcher that can be thrown. Star Point's got a pitcher. And the question, if you can get by some of these games and have your number one, these semifinal games can get very interesting in here.
Well, let's face it, everybody's got a pretty, at the very least, interesting road to get to Sal Magley.
Yes, no doubt.
And just because you have the best record or the top seed doesn't really mean much, because it's baseball and it comes down to pitching, defense, and some clutch hitting.
No, but if it comes down to the two seeds going, Amherst and Will South, Amherst has beaten Will South twice this year. So now you're still talking about having to beat a team the third time right there. And it could even mean that if Star Point gets by Grand Island, you've got a split right there. Like Star Point has a win over Amherst, and that game gets very, very interesting.
Yes, it does. Francis, anything you want to chip in here?
No, that's it for me. I think it's great to see Amherst kind of on the turnaround. They've been kind of kind of above the rate, above average for a couple of years. It's nice to see them kind of pop up to the top, especially with their history with Jonah Heim.
Yeah, and we talked about Jonah Heim on the interview with Jaden Serrati a little bit, just to see if he's given any advice to the team. And what he said was he talked about how Coach Davis really told stories about Jonah and what he's done to help him, or what he's done in certain circumstances to help the team learn, which I just thought was still great, just to be able to have that knowledge. But I think they're probably, to me, one of the biggest surprises coming into the year of what we wouldn't have predicted. They felt they had it. but not everyone really knew because they were a young team. They had some youth in there that they were going to mix in that you had to see play out in the field, and it's played out very nicely for Amherst.
Well, the power of belief, right? You've got to have that. And it is great to see any Western New York athlete like Jonah Heim do great. Well, that'll do it for Class A1 and A2, and we'll come back and discuss Class B after this short break.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
All right, welcome back to the 2023 Western New York Athletics Baseball Preview Show. I'm joined now by Josh Tulin of Depew, the 17-1 ECIC champions, Depew Wildcats. So, Josh, tell me, what's been the key to Depew's success this season?
First of all, thank you for having me. And our team, although we're a small team, I think our pitching is really, really solid. We lost a senior last year in Lucas Kuzmansky, but CJ Koenig Jr., he's filled the role very well, and we've just been putting up good at-bats, putting the ball in play. It's falling when we need it to, and we play good defense all the time. So,
all right, I want to go back to last year. You lost in that Class B crossover to Medina after you had a great year. During the regular season, you lost in that Class B crossover. What did you learn from that game against Medina?
They had really good pitching, so we all off season long, we just worked on hitting breaking balls because we were getting fooled by their breaking balls all game long. So we worked on that all off season. Worked on hitting their velocity that they were throwing at us, and honestly, we just worked on hitting basically. That's what beat us is our hitting.
Josh, you're hitting .448. You're also the top pitcher on this Depew team. 1.23 ERA, 57 strikeouts. So let me ask this question. Are you a pitcher who hits, or are you a hitter who also pitches?
I think I'm a pitcher who hits. I always tell my dad how I just want to be a PO, but he's always like, can't do that because too good of a hitter. But, yeah, I think I'm just a pitcher who hits.
Your only loss this year, which is to Nichols, a very good Monsignor Martin game. So let me ask, what did you guys learn from that game?
We learned we need to put up better at-bats. We were looking at too many first-pitch fastballs in that game. Made a couple of mental errors. Can't have that in the games. But, yeah, definitely got to be more aggressive at the plate. That's what we learned from that game.
All right, so the $1 million question. You won a sectional title, but you didn't make it to the state tournament. What is it going to take for this Depew team to make it over that hump and reach the state tournament?
We got to play together as a team, stay intact. Be aggressive at the plate. Don't make stupid mistakes in the field. Keep pitching well like we've been doing all year. I think we have a really good shot.
All right, on that note, we'll turn it over to Tom Prince with our next interview.
Next, let me introduce our star from Buffalo. He is absolutely one of the biggest baseball players to come out of Buffalo. We got him right now, Xavier Mann. Xavier, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me on.
So, Xavier, I really believe that you've had a coach that's come in that's really changed the program right there, right? So let's talk about the City Honors program and what Coach McMahon has done to change the culture of it. And when I say that, because before it was, you won absolutely Buffalo titles. City Honors did that for years, right? But it wasn't about a title that was won in Buffalo. Now it was about going after sectional titles. Talk about what the culture change that Coach McMahon has.
Yeah, when he came in, it changed the whole program. It really he allowed us to seek for higher goals than what we have been. Coming in, it was just beat the Buffalo Public Schools League and then see if we can win a game possibly in sectionals. But then he came in and just showed us that we should aspire for more and that we should strive to win sectionals, which ended up happening in 2021, and it really was just a great moment for us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You were part of that team then too, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you've been on this team for a couple years now, and you've really got to experience success with this team. Talk about your personal success and how you've evolved from year to year.
I've really learned to play with my team rather than focus on individual, how I do, and I've learned that I need to be a leader with my team and that how I play and how I react to challenges also affects how the team plays and how we come together. So I learned to be more of a team player than what I already was, and Coach McMahon helped me with that. He helped me with different skills I needed to and just really perfected the team culture we have.
And that's going to help you at the next level. That really is. I mean, you are now off. You're going to be off to Division II Lenoir-Rhyne, right? Which is a top baseball program that we've got some players here in Western New York down there, right? So it is a phenomenal program that is right now competing for possible national championship honors, right? Talk about what went into your decision to go there.
Recruiting was tough for me, and during the recruiting process, many of the Northeast schools were very reluctant with different tools that I had or didn't have for that, and they said that my bat was premier, but the glove was what I needed to work on. Some had me projected going JUCO or whatever, but I knew I could get to that level, and I knew that I was going to play at that level. And Lenoir-Rhyne came through. They were with me from the jump. My travel coach, Coach Charlie, he got me connected with them, and they've been with me since day one. And really, just that place is beautiful, and it's in North Carolina. You got the weather.
All right. Wait. Your outfield skills? I've seen you roam the outfield. I've coached against you roaming the outfield. You got wheels. You can run anything down. I don't know what they were looking at because we knew your tools were going to go to the next round. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, I even had to coach against that, if you know that for a fact. Right? So listen, let's talk about you guys, though. One of the toughest things for City Honors is to come into sectional play, but not having seen or played anybody usually at that point. You've had some out-of-conference games, but they're not anybody that has been inside, your division. Mm-hmm. How do you prepare for teams like that?
Well, we just use those out-of-conference games to really challenge ourselves and see where we stack up and then compare those to basically who we're going to play. And then we get a visual or get an understanding of that it's going to be good baseball no matter who we play. No matter whether it's Olean or Iroquois, we know it's going to be good baseball. And we know we have to come with our A game, but so do those teams as well.
Absolutely. So, Xavier, my last question. If City Honors was to go on for a sectional title again, what has to happen out in the field?
I think we just have to work as a team. We have to click at the perfect time, and I think we have the firepower and will to do it. It just has to be the timing and the drive and the energy for sure. And I know Coach will make sure we bring it, and we will definitely be ready for sectionals.
No doubt. You got a fantastic coach right there. Love what he's done with your program.
Definitely.
No doubt. We're all going to be watching to see what happens. City Honors a #1 seed, and they are in a very tough B division. I cannot wait to see how these games play out.
Thank you.
Xavier, good luck the rest of the way, buddy.
I appreciate it.
And listen, good luck next year when you get out there. I know you're going to make all of us proud in Western New York. Great job, buddy. Our next interview comes from the Niagara Orleans League. You see it, he's got the orange hat on. It's Akron. They become champions this year for the first time in 48 years. I got my player right here, Andrew Romesser. He's been the top player on that Akron team. He's been a leader on that Akron team, and can't wait to start this interview and talk a little bit of him. Andrew, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Prince.
Absolutely. So, Andrew, I'm going to start right where we just did. 48 years since the title came to Akron, right? 48 years. And the stat that blows my mind is your coach was on that team the last time you won a title. He was a junior on that team in 1975. You got to walk me through how this feels and how that celebration was.
Oh, it just makes it that much better. I mean, Coach, since he started coaching in 2005, his goal has been to bring a title because he knows that feeling, winning it as a junior, and he knows it's great. And, you know, taking 18 years of his coaching years to do it, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, we were so pumped. It's an unreal feeling.
It really is. Like when he sent me that when it was a junior on the team, the first question I go, you got to let me use this. I got to be able to use this information. He's like, absolutely. So you can just see, I could see how proud he is. And he's had some very good teams along the way. This isn't like there hasn't been good teams. It's been that Niagara-Orleans League has been unbelievable, especially the last couple years, right? Roy Hart, Medina, Albion, I mean, have just been unbelievable just to give some of the teams alone. Even Wilson has been in the mix for those players. It's not like you weren't competing against teams that weren't good. They were great, and that's part of the reason why it took as long as it did. But I want to say congratulations to you guys.
Thank you.
So you personally have had to go head-to-head against some of the top players coming into this season. First one had to be Aiden Paul that you had to go pitching head-to-head against from Medina. The second one was Thomas Russo from Roy Hart. You had to go head-to-head with him, right? Coach believes in you. That's why you're the man. You actually get a win over Aiden Paul and Medina, and you had a 2-1 loss against Thomas Russo. You got to talk about what this was personally, what this meant to you going head-to-head against these guys.
Honestly, when I face guys like that, I tend to bring my better stuff too. I know the pressure's on, and I know I got to bring everything I have for that game. And I tend to pitch better in those days. I like playing those games. I talk to Russo and Paul after each game, and I'm like, listen, these are the games we love. 2-1 game, 3-1 game. Those are the fun baseball games. No one likes 18-0 games and blowouts. So those are the games that's really fun. We play our best baseball when we're having fun, and that's just how I think I succeed in those games.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, going into the season, those were two guys that were earmarked, right? You now entered the conversation. How does it feel to enter the conversation because of what you did on the field?
It's awesome. I've blown myself away what I've been doing my senior year. It's awesome. And I know Paul and Russo have been like top guys in our league for some time now. And to be considered in that conversation, it's awesome. But I don't want to get full of myself. I want to stay that underdog and, you know, just keep pushing forward.
So now becomes the playoff time, right? The only difference here is when you go to playoffs, you are in a conference where you haven't really seen a lot of these teams yet, right? A lot of these teams you haven't played yet. So how do you prepare for teams that you really haven't seen at this point?
Going back to the facing against Russo and Paul, we've seen some of the top pitching in the area at this point. So everything else we're going to see, it's nothing new. We've seen about every level of pitching. So as far as the hitting standpoint, I'm not really worried about our team. I know our team's we're going to bring the bats for sure. And when I'm on the mound, it's going to be a little different seeing new pitchers, but you just pitch everyone like they're the best player in the world, and then you should be fine.
There you go. Now, let's say it. Akron, they go on to win a sectional title. If I was to say those words, what had to happen on the field to make that happen?
We just have to play fundamental baseball. That's really what we've been doing all along. We're not going to blow you away with how much power our team has. We're not going to blow you away with how hard we throw, but we just can't make errors. And that's really what we're good at. We play solid baseball, old school baseball, I like to call it. And we got to have to get some bunts down too, some small ball. That's what it's going to take.
Listen, you go old school baseball, you got an old school coach. He's one of the best. He's been known in Western New York for years. No doubt this is a special run this year. I want to say, Andrew, congratulations on a fantastic season. Congratulations on the Niagara-Orleans title. I can't wait to see how this is going to play out. No doubt all of Western New York's going to want to see it play out too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm with Tyler Karen of Dunkirk Baseball. You guys are 13-4 in the season, one of the surprise teams of the year. So let's start with this. What's been the key to the Marauders' success this year?
I think it's a big thing that we're young and we're teachable. They're willing to put in the work and just look for a good outcome. That's what's been up. They just keep working. We're young and they're doing good. I don't know that we're young. I know Dunkirk is a good baseball program. It's our best winning program at the school, and they're going to continue to show and surprise people.
And last year, this team went 6-10. You turn around, you double your win total, more than double it. If you could pick one thing, what do you think is the biggest difference from 2022 to 2023?
It's just the fact that we're willing to work together. It's me, not we. It's we, not me. Sorry, it's we, not me. But yeah, no, we just keep working together. We're doing good. We keep playing ball. We're executing when we need to. And hats off to my teammates. Love you guys.
Tyler, I want you to talk about me, and I'm talking about me. I mean you. Your success this year. If I could describe you in 1 to 2 words as a baseball player, how would I do it?
I would like to. For me personally, I think leadership. I think that I'm doing a good job at just controlling the boys, making know that if you're on and off the field, that you have a role. If you're on bench, you're staying up, loud out in the dugout. You got a role no matter where you are.
All right, 13-4 in the season. Your losses: St. Francis. We all know it's a very good program. Southwestern, Fredonia, Gowanda. Pick one of those. Which one of those would you say you guys learned the most from?
I believe it's Gowanda. Gowanda, we knew going into the series, that they're a well-mechanic, fluent team, and they have experience, and we competed. We played all 7 against those guys. So I think that's a big thing, that we know that we can compete, and we have that ability as a young team to keep pushing forward.
All right, $1 million question. What is it going to take for Dunkirk to win a sectional title?
I think it's just about intensity. Intensity is going to be a big thing. We need to continue to play 7 innings of baseball like we have been, and I think we're going to surprise a lot of people. And I look forward to playing with these guys because these guys make the game a lot. They make it enjoyable. They make it fun.
Tyler, that's great to hear.
Yes.
I'll turn it over to Tom.
I want you to stay here for 1 second. Tyler, I'm going to ask you a favor, okay?
Okay.
You had something special happen at your field the other night, okay? Where you just had a special presentation for your coach, right?
Correct.
Can you please tell everybody what happened in Western New York? I think that went without people seeing that, and I think all Western New York needs to know about it.
Yeah, no, so our coach, Frank Jagoda, he's been coaching us for 30 years, and he's been just giving so much to the program. And he got his own plaque and memorial, and there was a ceremony, and he deserves it. He deserves it more than anyone can imagine. He's a great guy. He's a great coach, and I'm just happy I got to, be able to be on that team and got to experience his teaching. So thank you.
All right, well, Tyler, thank you for joining us. I'll turn it back over to Tom Prince.
My next interview, he comes from Springville. He's the true 2-sport athlete in 1 season. He is not only on the baseball team, which is being unbelievable successful, he's also on the track team that we're going to talk about. I have now with me Nick Gold. Nick, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, Nick, you truly, like I said, are this true 2-sport athlete. Not too many people do it, right? Especially with baseball, because baseball there are a lot of games that need to be played, right? Usually the only day you're not playing is because it's raining outside, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing 2 sports. You got to tell me, what's the time commitment been like for you?
It's busy. You go to school, and then right after you have either track practice or baseball practice. You have one sport that you're more dedicated to, so you don't get to practice as much as the other one, and well, you're just busy all the time.
So, Nick, what events do you actually do inside track?
Well, track, I do multiple different events. I do the 100, 200, 400, the 4x4, the 4x1, and then the 4x8.
Fantastic. So, obviously, it's the speed, right? So, does that correlate to you on the base pass, do you think?
Yeah, I do feel like I've gotten faster. I actually did cross country in the fall. And my cross-country coach was the one that got me to do track. I wasn't actually thinking about doing track this year. But he got me to do track this year, and I was like, all right, these are events I kind of want to do, and I feel like I've gotten faster this year too.
Well, no doubt it's absolutely correlated on the field, as you are one of the top hitters, right? One of the top guys right now inside that lineup. You're also a top pitcher for this Springville team. But Springville's had an amazing season so far. 14-1. You can't tell me before the season you guys go, we're going to go undefeated till our last game of the year. When during the season, did you guys finally go, hey, man, we're pretty good. Like, we got something going on here?
Honestly, I would actually say it's the Cleve Hill game, the one that we tied and finished later on in the season for a win. When we were tying, we were all very, into the game. We wanted to win. We knew that we should have won, and that's how kind of we been through the game. You know, we've always like knew we have to win, or not have to win, but like we were going to win. Like we were able to win. We should have won. Stuff like that.
Well, and you can see it's really, there is always that time where you can turn back and go, wow, this really was something going on here. But I talked to Coach Lux. He said he can't believe how many times you guys actually have gone down in a game, and then those bats just come alive right there. For you to do that, the tone of the dugout has to be positive, right? There has to be something going on in that dugout to keep everybody up. Talk about the tone of your dugout this year.
Well, the dugout is very, like, not loud, but we're always very, like, on each other. We're always, like, giving fist bumps. We're like, nice job, you know. We're all very positive in the dugout, so we're pretty funny, too. So we got some comedians on the team. And, yeah, we just try and have as much fun in the dugout as we can and leave all we can out in the field.
That's awesome. So, Nick, we said there's a tone, but what's been so special about the bats? You guys are putting up 11 runs a game, right? Tell me what's been so special about those bats.
Well, the bats, we just been batting well this year, you know. A lot of us have been helping each other, not just the coach teaching us. It's been all of us, you know. I've been so much better than last year. This year I came and I'm actually doing good hitting. I wasn't actually expecting to do good hitting, but I'm actually doing good hitting this year. And I feel like it's not, I thank the coach, but I think it's also I should thank the players, because the players are also very helpful with my swing.
That's awesome. That's truly a team there that you talk about. So here it is. Playoffs are here, right? Springville's got to have the goal. They want a sectional title. If I were to say Springville gets crowned sectional champs, what had to happen on the field to make that happen?
Well, we definitely need less errors. We do have quite a few errors on the field, but like I said, we're always very positive. So when we make those errors, you know, it's always like, oh, this is what you did wrong, and then we try and help them fix it. So less errors, and then definitely first pitch strikes. If we can throw first pitch strikes, I'm very confident in the team going far.
Do you have a shot at a sectional title in track?
I don't go to enough track meets to know. So
there you go. All right. Listen, congratulations on a great year. Congratulations on being a true leader in Springville. Nick, no doubt things are special down there. I can't wait to see how they play out. Good luck the rest of the way, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does he do car?
Forget about it.
How about home?
Forget about it.
Does he get good rates?
Forget about it.
And you're saying there's no problem too big for this guy?
Forget about it. Look, this is Johnny, the guy we've been talking about. Johnny, this is Paul Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem. It's Paul, not Mr. Wolf.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Johnny, forget about it. For all your insurance needs, call 835-WOLF. And...
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Welcome back. Stu Boyer along with Tom Prince and Francis Beck, and looking at the Bs, B1 and B2. And Tom, I see, does anyone have the 1-2 punch on the mound that Depew has with Tulin and Woodley? I mean, those two guys.
And Koenig. Koenig's in there, too. It's like a 1-2-3 punch.
Okay, well, that's really... That's impressive. You and I did the Depew Maryvale game the other day when Woodley tossed his complete game. The day before, Tulin tossed an 8-inning complete game. So, can anybody match the Depew 3?
Well, obviously Maryvale can too, right? Remember, Maryvale was right in there both times.
Yes.
1-0 in game 1.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it was real tight in game 2
until the 7th.
Right.
But Depew held them scoreless for 15 innings.
Oh, I agree, but we also know how many times it's hard to beat. We talked about it.
Yeah,
Beat that team the third time, right?
That is
and,
true.
And can you keep their main hitter, Dalton Harper, out of the mix for a third game?
Well, Josh Toolin stopped him the other day at second base with a great play.
Yep.
But
Pioneer's another one. Pioneer has a good pitching staff, too. Watch out for Pioneer. They'll be in the mix of this thing. That 4-5 game is a split this year between Maryville and Pioneer. That is going to be a really good matchup to see who moves on. Dunkirk right now is young. They've got a very strong pitching staff. They are going to be in the mix and have themselves in the conversation in this one.
Youth is a very dangerous thing in the playoffs, isn't it?
Yes.
It can go either way, but if you've had the kind of season they've had, it would indicate it might go the more positive way.
Yep, and then how about even a team like Newport as a number 12 seed? They have a win over Niagara Falls. They're a 12 seed with a win over Niagara Falls, and they'll be taking on Pioneer.
Interesting.
Now, the only difference is that's a long way to go, right? That will be a long hike for them to do. We'll see how that plays out.
What happened to the Iroquois team that was so good last year and 3-10 this year?
Lost their pitching is pretty much what it was, right? Unfortunately, got hurt pitching-wise there, and then one of their pitchers they thought they were going to got injured, so he didn't get them. So really, it was the pitching staff that didn't come to fruition. I think like Coach Snooze needed them to.
Okay, and City Honors, another city school with a 15-3 record. So it's impressive, and they're sitting there with that top seed. Can they match the Depew top 3?
It's going to be tough. I think of all the city schools, this is the one school that has a shot of doing anything and really doing some damage right here. We just talked to Xavier Mann, who's off to play Division II baseball. Legit bats. These guys can hit the ball, right? The question is, will they have seen pitching that they're about to see when it comes to the semifinals and the finals to be able to get there?
Where did you say Xavier is going to school to play baseball?
Lenore Rhine.
Oh, cool. Where is Lenore Rhine? I've heard
North
of it.
Carolina.
Thank you. Okay. I have heard of it many times. I just didn't know where it was. Well, to me, that Depew team with that top 3 is very impressive. But there are other teams here. Look at Akron at 16-3. Roy Hart 13-4.
All right, so you're on B2 now?
I moved over to B2 in Springville and West Valley 14-1. So there's obviously a lot of talent in the B1 and B2 bracket.
Well, listen, that 8-9 game could see 2 of the better pitchers in Western New York go at each other in that game. That is going to be a fantastic game to see who even gets to Springville. And again, these are 2 teams that you can see play on. You can see, can you believe that we're talking about Medina as a 9 seed?
No.
And again, they've got a great player in Aiden Paul on the mound who is just absolutely phenomenal.
He's terrific. We saw him pitch last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Was it the 1-0 game against Roy Hart? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, that was that was the crossover game that had happened. Yes,
he was terrific.
We saw him. That was against Depew. We saw him.
Yeah, the crossover was against Depew.
And he came. Did he win that? Did they win? Or
they won 1-0. Yep.
That was a great game, and he was terrific. So obviously he's followed that up with another strong season.
And then you look at this, like you said, Salamanca, that 14-4, that's a good team right there. They were second in their division, that they actually tied with Portville on there. That 7 seed is no way a 7 seed, right? And if they go out and take down Silver Creek, they can easily win that next game, even though it's a number 2 seed, right? You could be talking about Salamanca getting all the way to the semifinals.
Well, and I mean, Akron 16-3, that's impressive. That's a great season. And like I mentioned, Springville and West Valley at 14-1, Fredonia 11-4. No slouches there. So this is all these brackets, but this one right now extremely competitive.
This is going to be unbelievable. Fredonia at 4 is still going to see possibly an Eden team right there. Roy Hart at 6, another team to watch out for, who's going to have to play Akron inside the Niagara Orleans League. So we interviewed Andrew Romesser of Akron, who went head to head with Roy Hart and actually lost 2-1. It was Russo and Romesser go head to head against each other. Lost 2-1 in that one. Again, but you remember they can only pitch once, right? So can Roy Hart get by an Allegheny Limestone without Russo? And then so Russo can match up with Romesser in the next round? All remains to be seen how that's going to play out.
Nothing like a great pitching matchup.
Oh, They're all over the place. I mean, and you're talking about in here, we've got like possibly 4 or 5 guys inside this division alone. We could be talking about in the mix for like a Player of the Year candidate.
Well, certainly Josh Tulin and Nolan Smith would be.
Well, Nolan would have been from the one above,
right.
but Tulin, absolutely. Tulin's got Dalton Harper not in there, right? Aiden Paul not in there, right? Where I mean, we can go up and down here that we're talking about. This is truly where we're going to see. If you want a shot at those postseason awards to get that top award, are you going to be able to take your team for a run is what's going to need to be seen here.
Francis, the quiet man of the show today.
How about Springville? West Valley with 14-1 record. They're the 1 seed in this division. We haven't seen them towards the top of these divisions in a while, but still 14-1 seed.
A couple of years ago, they were in the 1 seed when actually Coach Lux was actually coaching his older son. Was actually an upper seed like this. The funny part is that 1 right there comes as the last game of the year. They were undefeated going into that last game, lost to Alden in that game. Alden is another very good team that we're going to be talking about down the road here. But you can see that's why when you look at like a 1 and 8, 9, this is because, folks, they're all coming from different conferences in this one. So the point systems on how you be able to gain points is all over the map. What you may see here is an 8-9 seed. These are not 8-9 seed teams, right? Or 7 Salamanca, 6 Royhart. These are all teams that are potentially a 1 through a 3 seed. And I'll tell you, they're going to be very, very dangerous to watch to see how this one plays out.
And if your starting pitcher is on, it's game on.
Yep.
And look out.
Yep. Totally agree.
All right, well, that'll do it for B1 and B2, and we'll be back with Class C after this short break.
Does he do car?
Forget about it.
How about home?
Forget about it.
Does he get good rates?
Forget about it.
And you're saying there's no problem too big for this guy?
Forget about it. Paul, this is Johnny, the guy we've been talking about. Johnny, this is Paul Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem. It's Paul, not Mr. Wolf.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Johnny, forget about it. For all your insurance needs, call 835-WOLF and...
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
All right, welcome back. Sorry about that. I'm here with Peyton Dustin of Frewsburg. You guys are doing fantastic this season, 16-3 on the year. So simply, what's the secret sauce for Frewsburg this year? Why are you guys so successful?
The energy in the dugout has been really helpful. Everyone just buys in. Everyone picks each other up during the games. Like, everyone does their job. And it's really big on energy for us, really.
You guys went 10-10 last year. It's a 6-game turnaround. How do you explain that?
I think our younger kids, because we have a lot of young kids on our team, really grew up and helped our team be better, like, throughout this season.
I want to turn the attention to you for a second. You're batting .377, 16 stolen bases, which is a lot. Those 16 stolen bases, was that the plan going into the at-bat? Is that something you go into a game? I'm planning to steal 1 to 2 bases when I get on, or is that just something that's kind of happened organically through the season?
It's kind of just happened. I mean, you get on base, and we know the catcher's pop time. We know the pitcher's, like, release and stuff. So we do our numbers and kind of know if we can steal or not. And we like to be aggressive on the base pad. So,
Peyton, if I had to describe you as a baseball player in 1 to 2 sentences, how would I do it?
Probably aggressive. Be aggressive on the base pads and picking each other up in the dugout, like helping each other out. getting chants going, being loud, just helping everyone out on the team.
All right, this could be something you've either always been good at or something you've been working on maybe the past year or so. What aspect of your game are you most proud of?
Probably my outfielding, really being able to track the ball down, throwing kids out from center has been pretty cool this year. Just helping getting the outfield ready and really talking and communicating with my other outfielders.
All right, and finally, the big question here. What is it going to take for Frewsburg to win a Class C sectional title?
We're going to have to bring the energy. We'll be playing good teams in the sectional games, and we'll have to bring the energy and pick each other up in the dugout if something's not going wrong, not going right. Just keep the energy up and helping everyone out.
All right, Dustin, thank you for joining us. I'll turn it over to Tom Prince.
Our next big interview, he comes from Gowanda. He will be one of the next big players we're going to be talking about here in Western New York. He definitely is a player that is big on the national stage that will be getting looks that we're going to be talking about. Let me introduce Blake Herman from Gowanda. Blake, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, Blake, really, let's start out. You've been a starting catcher on this team since 8th grade. You know, it kind of mimics a little about what we always talk about with Dalton Harper, who's now gone on to the senior, right? You're doing the same thing in Gowanda. But, boy, the history in Gowanda, right, the rich history that it has is something special. You've now been there doing this for 3 years, right? 8th, 9th, 10th grade.
Yes, sir.
So talk about what that means to you.
You know, it means a lot. You know, Coach Tim Smith has a lot of confidence in me. You know, he always said, you know, it doesn't matter what grade you're in, you're going to play if you're good. So he has a lot of confidence in me and tells me, you know, just go out there, be you. It doesn't matter what grade you're in, you know.
Yeah, that is incredible. And so Coach Smith does think of Wilder. In fact, he looks at you as a second coach out there on the field is
Yes,
what
sir.
he looks like, right? Another set of eyes for him on the field, which is why you as a catcher call your own pitches out there on the field. So talk about what goes into calling a game for you.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on the pitcher, you know. You know, it depends on what pitches they have on, you know. Definitely if it's a 3-4-5 hitter, you know, we're going to get some off speeds with them and not just going to feed them fastball, you know. Definitely later in the order, you know, we're going to feed them fast. We're going to try to get the strikeout. We're trying to get out of the inning. So definitely, you know, I look at Smith, you know, he gives me the sign, you know. And I look at the batter, and he just, if he looks good, you know, you try to get him off pace, and you just try not to throw him a fastball, not trying to take one to the moon, you know. So try to get him off pace.
Blake, do you do any scouting yourself? Like, in other words, do you look at any and know anything about some of these hitters that you're going to go up against that does prepare you to call some pitches?
I wouldn't say scouting, but I know a lot of kids. You know, I've been a lot around baseball a lot. You know, I've been playing around of baseball a lot, you know. My brother, I've been a lot of games. I've seen a lot of people, you know. And I wouldn't say scouting, but I've seen definitely a lot of kids who can hit the ball and who cannot hit the ball.
And does that help you make your calls, pitches?
Yes, sir.
There
Yes,
you
sir.
go. So listen, for those of you who don't know, he does play on the national stage for the Motor City Hit Dogs, right? And that is one of the top teams in the country out there and really is where you've got a chance to play in the national stage. This year he's hitting .446 with an on-base percentage of over 600 at .608. You got to talk about why has this season been so successful for you?
I would say my aggressiveness up at the plate. You know, I'm not gonna take pitches. You know, if I see a fastball, hop on at first pitch. You know, I'm not gonna take one for a strike just because. You know, I'm up there ready to hit all the time.
So Blake, what they say is for people to get on these teams, you know, Motor City Hit Dogs, right? Any of the national teams that are out there. You've got to have done it right place, right time, right?
Yes, sir.
When you get your moment, you better shine.
Yes, sir.
What was your moment that you got recognized?
You know, I was down in Michigan, and my dad always tells me, you know, have elite attitude, have elite skill, always, you know. You never know who's watching you. And I was down at a tournament, and luckily, Coach Scott Leonard, he was there watching me play, and he came out to my dad after, and he was like, hey, I really like him. And then Dalton Harper, his dad, he got connections with my dad, and I went to a tryout, and just from there, it just went off.
That's awesome. Last question. If Gowanda repeats, right, for a sectional title, what had to happen on the field for you guys to do that?
You know, we got to be a family. You know, we got to just stick with it, you know. Someone can come along the line and just knock us off, you know. Just because we're the 1 seed doesn't mean that we can't just take game off. We got to come in with energy. And we saw what happened with Dunkirk. We lost versus Dunkirk, and we got a big head, and we can't have that anymore. We got to stay humble and hungry.
There we go. You heard it. No doubt we're going to be talking about Blake for the future to come. He is the future for the next few years, but now becomes the present as Gowanda tries to go for another sectional title. And I want to say, Blake, thank you so much for coming in. We're all going to be watching. Good luck the rest of the way, buddy, all right?
Thank you, sir.
Great job. Our next interview, it comes from the Southtowns. It comes from one of the teams you know very well. Kramer, Sherman, Panama. And here's our representative. He's the leader this year. He's the one that's going to help CSP move on. It's Trent Burchanowski. Trent, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, Trent, listen. This is a different year for CSP baseball, right? You've got to make that jump now from the D class to the C class. Talk about that. And really, what's going to be the difference from last year to this year making that jump?
Yeah, I mean, the pitching is a lot better in Class C, and just the teams in general. They're a lot stronger and deeper in Class C. So for us to see better pitching, our sticks are gonna have to be better this year. And also offensively, every team's a lot better in Class C. So just our pitching has to be really good too.
Yeah, no doubt. Pitching is always the secret to success in any year. But Trent, this year, right, you also play in a conference that gives you a mix of teams, right, from different divisions in there. Talk about how conference players prepared you for a sectional run.
Yeah, I mean, we'll play class. I mean, we're a Class C school, so we'll play Class D and Class B. When we play Class D schools, we get the opportunity to pitch like our 4 or 5 pitchers. So get them reps, and then we get to see yesterday we saw Salamanca, we got to see Southwestern this year. So to see those bigger schools and really understand what we need to work on to be able to beat schools like that, it helps a lot come down when we're going to see teams like Gowanda and Frewsburg and Portville.
Yep, no doubt about it. And then some of the powerhouses right there in C. But you're going to be sitting right there in the mix. But Trent, this year has really, not that you haven't been a great player down at CSP, but this year has been a transformation for you as a leader, right? Where now you're the guy, right? You're one of the top players on that team. You're one of the top leaders on that team. Talk about the transformation that's happened from last year to this year for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, us losing 3-4 seniors last year was big. So it was time for us seniors to realize it was time to step up and get the team going. Because I mean, it's our last year. It's the end for us. So just to let the team know it's time to go and time to play CSP baseball. It was big for us.
There you go. Now, CSP baseball. Let's absolutely say, CSP goes on and wins a sectional title. What had to happen on the field to make that a reality?
Just playing CSP baseball. We need to pitch great. Our pitchers have been great lately. Get the bats going, 1 through 9, and just being confident, knowing we can win the section title again.
There you go. Well, you heard it. That's one of the leaders down at CSP. He's been a leader on the field, a leader off the field, and no doubt a player to watch out for. Trent, we wish you the best of luck for the playoffs. No doubt I'm going to be watching, and no doubt all Western New York's going to want to see how that C division plays out. Good luck the rest of the way, buddy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me introduce our next interview as he comes from Portville. First of all, you got to love that shirt that you see right there. That's our buddy Colt Max, and I'm sure we'll be able a chance to talk about him real quick. But, Mike, first of all, before I start and make this introduction, happy birthday to Michael Cole of Portville.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I got to start off with the shirt. You know, Colt's been an inspiration to so many people down in Portville. Just talk about Colt for a second, what he means to you, and also what he means to that team.
I mean, Colt's just about everything. I mean, when we go up in our circle before a game, we try to mention him out every time. I mean, it's hard not to go out in the field and tell yourself, like, hey, like, our coach isn't just like, he's not just here coaching a team. Like, he's dealing with so much stuff, and the fact that he can still show up and like help us, and he helps so much. It's so crazy. So, you know, all of us in our heads, I think we got 21 guys on the team just there. Like, we all know, like, hey, our coach is here helping, but you know what? He doesn't have to be here. His son is battling harder things that any of us could even imagine. So, like, definitely having Colt on our side gives us such a mental boost, because it's kind of like the reason to keep going.
Great answer right there. You got a great coach. That is a great family and a great young man. It really is. Great answer right there.
Yeah, I've been able to actually hang out with Colt a little bit, you know, like play a video game with him and stuff like that. And he's such a great kid. He's like, if you didn't know the stuff he dealt with, you'd have no idea. He's so nice, and he's a great kid.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Mike.
Yeah, of course.
So, Mike, this is a Portville team that has averaged over 13 runs a game this season, right? You put up 31 in one game and then followed up with 4 straight games of 18 runs a game. Talk about this lineup from top to bottom.
This lineup is, I mean, it's crazy. Like those stats you said, just hearing them, I'm like, wow. Like, it's just crazy to think that we can put up those kind of numbers. And it's honestly just the ability for all 9 guys in that lineup to get on base and do damage. Beginning of the season, when we started trying to plan what we're going to do, because this year's team's so different from last year's team, we have to find what we're good at. And it's something about our team that we're really good at is we have some fast guys. There's guys who are smart. There's guys who can run fast. We have got a guy who's got power, and I think our coach put all of us in the perfect spots that match our strengths like really well. And like, I know in the beginning of the season, he hasn't brought this up yet, or our coach hasn't brought it up in the later of the season, but in the beginning of the season, he brought up how we averaged 8 stolen bases a game. And just that, I mean, those are 8 free advances. It's just probably the main reason why we add those numbers. And from top to bottom, 1 through 9, we can all put the bat on the ball. I think all of us have some sort of knack of getting on base. All of us find some way, whether if it's to battle, foul off, make your bat to 11 pitches, just any way to get on base. And I think that right there is the big reason why we get those numbers that you just brought up. I mean, just the ability through like 1 through 9 to be able to get on base, steal second, sometimes even steal third, and then for the next guy to either hit a base hit or have a pass ball, anything. And that's definitely why I think we put those numbers up.
That's great. So talk about expectations. You alluded to it a little bit, how this is a completely different team. You lose a lights-out number 1 pitcher in Maxiel, right? You knew that was going to be tough losing him to graduation. How do you overcome that and still be able to try to reach the goals and the expectations of what you had last year?
That's an amazing question. Losing Max was rough. I mean, when our season ended last year at that semifinals, I remember going home like, all right, next year, like, what are we looking at here? And honestly, I was like, I don't know what we're looking at. But as the season started, you start to realize, all right, well, yeah, maybe we did lose this Division I pitcher going all the way to West Virginia. And by the way, they're doing amazing right now. I keep track of Max and stuff, and they're doing great. And Max had a great bat, too. So not only did we lose our best pitcher, but one of our best hitters as well. And I looked at it, and I was like, baseball's a 9-player sport, you know? And I was like, yeah, maybe like with pitching, there's only one guy who's pitching a game, but there's 9 hitters. And there's 9 people working together to achieve the exact same goal. So, yeah, maybe we don't have this powerhouse guy anymore. But I think if you combined all 9 of us, I think you would be able to confidently say this team that we have now is almost just as good as last year's, just because of our ability to combine all 9 guys. Or if you can even go back to 13, 14 guys, guys who maybe sit the bench, who are great hitters, great guys, but they aren't being able to play because those 9 starters are just working so well together. Or like, I know we got one guy, Carson Padler, who's on our bench, who pitches for us, who will go in relief. And that's the job he does. And he does a pretty well job at it. And just his, not only him, but everyone else's ability, like pinch hitting. You don't know when you're going to get up to bat, but yet there's guys ready for when our coach says, hey, you're up. And they just put their helmets on, get ready, go up there, and they find a hit or find any way on base, like I was saying before. And I think just us being able to find our ability to work together, I think is what really overcame the struggles of just not having Max anymore.
Wow. So you personally, right? You are now a returning all-Western New York player, right? You've been a top hitter. You've been a top outfielder. You've been a top pitcher for your team. But I'm told, and you alluded to it, that there are some people that have unbelievable speed on this team. You're one of those people. And I hear that may be the most dangerous part of your game. If you were to rank the parts of your game, how would you rank them?
Oh, man. Yeah, speed is definitely the biggest strength I have. It's my money ticket. I've just learned that over the time. And a saying that always goes by that I love to keep in my head is speed never slumps. You could go 0 for 3. You could maybe get messed up mentally, but something that never goes away is your speed. I mean, you can only run. Like, it's not like I'm just going to show up one day and be like, oh, I don't have my speed today. Like, no, it's with me no matter where I go. And I'm so thankful for having that speed because that's, like I said, it's my money ticket. But if I were to look at my strengths and weaknesses, I would go speed is my number one. And my weakest part of my game, I would say, is probably my arm. I don't throw the hardest. I mean, I wouldn't say I throw super slow, but definitely compared to all these other top guys who I'm sure you're interviewing today have way better arms than I do. And another one would be maybe my power behind the bat. I really yeah, I can hit home runs. I've hit 3, but compared to like our 3-hitter, Luke Petrisiak, I mean, he's got an absolute cannon of an arm and an insane bat that he can launch the ball. But awesome. Yeah, but again, where I lack is where guys on my team have strength in. Like Luke, for example, like Luke is also a quick kid, but it's probably what most people would probably say is one of his lower weaknesses. And that's where I can help out, like that's that whole 1 through 9 kind of thing. But no, definitely it would probably go speed, fielding, probably maybe my contact, and then power behind the bat, and then my arm. I tried working on my arm over the winter, and I increased by a little bit, but still, compared to a lot of these other bigger guys out here, I'm sure they can absolutely dust me in that category.
You'll do just fine. So last question, Mike, to kick things off, to end your interview. If Portville were to go on and win a sectional title, what has to happen on the field?
Oh, man. I mean, a lot. Number one thing is mentality. I've always been a firm believer of the mentality going into a game. And if our guys are showing up to this sectional finals game or even just the playoffs hesitating or maybe like rethinking everything or maybe just not in the zone, that could definitely be pretty crucial to even making it to sectional finals. A big thing about our team is something I always say is you got to have that mental approach. You have to be able to walk into the game and tell yourself, I'm here to absolutely whoop this team. I'm going to be here. I'm going to come in strong. I'm going to go in. I'm going to beat this team 20-0. And if you don't come in with a mentality even close to that, I feel like it can be pretty crucial to not making it to the sectionals. And it's a mentality that I've really been trying to push in our team's head, because I think if we carry ourselves with that kind of attitude, I don't think there's anybody who's going to be able to even come close to beating us.
Well, there you go. You've heard it. Last year's all Western New York outfielder for the small schools. He's proven it with the arm. He's proven it on the mound. He's proven it with the bat. He's proven it with speed. No doubt Portville will be in the mix in this one. No doubt good luck the rest of the way. No doubt we're all going to be watching. Portville is an absolute team that's going to be in the mix, and can't wait to see how this all plays out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome back to our baseball preview show. Heidi Gunther is our producer. Tom Prince to my right. Francis back to my left, sort of. And, and now we're going to look at Class C. And, I mean, you got some really 16-3 Frewsburg, Gowanda 16-2. Those are impressive one-loss records. And do you see any clear-cut favorites in Class C, Tom?
Yeah, to me, this is you got the top 4 seeds, I think, are playing out to exactly what they are. I think one side, watch out for Wilson. Wilson's the one team, I think, from the side to the left right there as the 6th seed that could make make some rumblings in here to cause trouble. They absolutely have a stud that they go on the mound out there. Wilson is a very good team. We saw coming out of very competitive Niagara-Orleans League, right? I mean, think about what we talked about. Roy Hart, Medina, right? Akron, who won the league, right?
Yeah.
Now you're talking, and they still are 9-6 here. So I'm telling you, watch out. Wilson will be a very dangerous team inside of this conference where they could come in. Though the worst part is if they get by Cassadaga Valley, they get Portville, right? And Portville this year is a very different team. We know they lost Maxiel last year to graduation, who, by the way, is killing it, doing fantastic down at West Virginia, by the way. But this is a different team this year. This team is really about team hitting. It's about that lineup 1 through 9. Do you realize they had a 4-game stretch, Stu, of 18 runs a game? 4 games in a row, they scored 18 runs.
Well, they obviously figured something out because they're kind of different from what they were a year ago.
And that's because you had a number 1 pitcher, and sometimes you rely on that number 1 pitcher. And this is a different team, a different mindset. Frewsburg is another team. Watch out. They're 16-3. CSP moves up from D to C. CSP, which we know won last year. They've got Burchanowski. They've got Gabe Roth. They've got some big people coming back right there. Hinsdale, as we know, has been a part of that team. They're a tough number 4 seed. And then Gowanda. Gowanda is sitting at that spot for the last couple years. Probably has one of the top coaches in Western New York in Tim Smith. And I just think this team is really good. They've got a Division I commit in John Ondas, who no doubt is a top player. He's tearing it up for him. We talked to Blake Herman. This Blake Herman, you'd hate to compare it to somebody, right? But you're really talking about the next best catcher that's here, right?
Great.
He started as an 8th grader, right? Who did we talk about starting what, right? Very similar to the path that Dalton Harper has taken. If you remember, Dalton Harper went and played on the national stage with the Motor City Hit Dogs. Blake Herman has done the same exact thing along the way. He's going to be one of the next big catchers. A kid is a sophomore calling his own games already.
Nice. That's great. Good for him.
So I do believe this is a top 4 that we're going to see play out, these 4. And if I were to give you my gut of the final, that it would come down to Portville and Gowanda, kind of what we saw last year in the same spot as a repeat.
Well, that'd be a great matchup. But no one's looking past CSP or Frewsburg either.
No, and again, like I said, don't count Wilson out. Wilson's going to give Portville a run for their money, right? There's no doubt that if they overlook Wilson, here's, though, the advantage that Portville gets. They get a home game.
Well, they earned it, right?
That's it. The Wilsons got to travel all the way down to Portville. That is advantage Portville right there. There's no doubt about it. But I'll tell you, this to me lines up very nicely for the top seeds. And then, like I said, I also count Wilson in there.
All right. That should do it for Class C, unless you want to add anything, Francis.
No, that's it. I think we got some great interviews coming up, though.
All right. We'll be back with Class D after this short break.
he do car?
Forget about it.
How about home?
Forget about it.
Does he get good rates?
Forget about it.
And you're saying there's no problem too big for this guy?
Forget about it. Come on. This is Johnny, the guy we've been talking about. Johnny, Paul Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem. It's Paul, not Mr. Wolf.
Oh, sorry, Paul.
Johnny, forget about it. For all your insurance needs, call 835-WOLF. And...
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
Our next interview comes from North Collins. I'll tell you, I talk about it all the time. You're the hidden gem of Western New York that most people don't realize how good of a scenario that you guys have over there at North Collins. But he has absolutely been a top player for North Collins. He's a top player in the D Conference. Let me introduce Derek Eversole. Derek, thanks for joining me.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Derek, let's start off this year, right? You've had success so far for North Collins that you've really had a big impact both on the mound and with your bat, right? So if I was to say to you, what's your biggest impact on the mound, a 1.83 ERA or an average of 3.95? What would you say has been the biggest impact so far?
I'd say my biggest impact has got to be batting, because it doesn't matter how many runs that the other team scores. You have to score runs. You have to get on base in order to win. So.
And absolutely, that's what you guys have done. You've actually put up some runs this year, is one you talked about. Right now, this North Collins team has averaged 7 runs a game, right? Or just shy of 7 runs a game is what it was. Talk about the success as a team that you've actually had on hitting. That lineup has got to be solid 1 through 9 when you talk about scoring this type of runs.
Yeah, we just find different ways to get on, and once we get on, we're aggressive on the base paths.
Yeah, it's something Coach Gill really likes to do and likes to preach when he's out there coaching.
Yeah.
So, Derek, now let's talk about your conference, right? Because your conference is made up very different than what you're going to see in sectional play, right? You had the opportunity to play teams like Salamanca and Portville, where you really were challenged this year, and then got to see teams that you'd actually see in sectionals. Talk about how your conference play has really helped you get ready for a sectional run.
Yeah, playing bigger schools that are better than us, it's going to prepare us for the playoffs, like for different situations that happen.
And Derek, I don't want to say better than you. I just want to say is they're bigger than you, right? Because they're Class C in some cases, which is just a bigger school than you are, right? Yeah. So not that they're better than you, it's just that they're challenging you in different ways.
Yeah, the depth that they have is way more than us.
What did you learn from some of those, even in a loss, that's going to help you in sections?
That simple mistakes can turn into huge if you don't, like, shut it down.
Yep, it's kind of like, listen, you make an error, wipe the memory clean, right? Wipe the slate clean. It's when we had an interview earlier here today from Cooper Rosano, Will East, and they said every time they made a mistake, it was saying, good, it's good, right? It was about being good and being positive.
Yeah, every time you make an error, you just got to forget about it, make the next play.
Yep. So Coach Gill is actually a new coach that's out there, right? Talk about what Coach Gill has meant to your program there at North Collins.
He brings so much to our program. He dedicates all of his time during baseball season and off season towards this program.
And he really, and he also gives to the youth too, right? Because he's got some travel teams in the youth that he coaches. So you really see he really gives his time to the sport.
Yeah, he really cares about it.
Yep, there's no doubt about it. So now, Derek, if I say to you, North Collins is going to go on and win a sectional championship, what has to happen out in the field?
We just have to play clean baseball, and when we're batting, we just have to find ways to get on, put bat on ball.
There you go. That's absolutely the secret to success right there. Derek, no doubt all of Western New York is going to be watching. No doubt we wish you the best of luck. You guys come in as a top seed and a great chance to advance. We can't see how it plays out. Can't wait. Good luck, Derek, all right?
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you.
All right, I'm with Colin McPherson of Maple Grove. You guys have gone 13-6 this year, a fantastic season. So tell me, what's been the key to the Red Dragon's success this year?
Yeah, so we have a lot of younger players this year, and really we just needed to fill roles, and all the young players have done that phenomenally. We built some team chemistry, and now that we're getting towards the end of the season, now we're in playoffs. It's just great to see how our team has gone from, none of us really knew each other to now it's like we're all best friends. I think that's the key to our team right now is just trusting each other and knowing that when we're all together, we can win games.
All right, let's go back to last season. You lose to Gowanda, a very good team in the semifinals. What did you guys learn from that game, and what did you take away from that into this year?
Yeah, that game left a sour taste in, I think, everybody's mouth on our team. Just to work harder, honestly, because last year we thought nobody could beat us, and then we got humbled really quick. Yeah, just in the off season, getting reps in, and then beginning of the year to now, every single day I think about that game, just keeping it in the back of my head and using it as motivation. We don't want to be in that same scenario again. We want to, get further in playoffs and really just leave a mark as a Maple Grove program.
Colin, if I had to describe you as a baseball player in 1 to 2 sentences, how would I do it?
Driven, and I'll do what my team needs to win, whether that's just being supportive in the dugout, putting bat on ball, making contact, moving runners. Yeah.
What aspect of your game are you most proud of?
Definitely my hitting. I think that's always been my strong suit. I've always been well off with that, just using my hands, using my hips just to, move runners. Yeah, get RBIs.
Which loss of the ones you've had you think your team learned the most from?
Definitely Frewsburg. The second time we played them around, we were winning by 2 going into the final inning, and then they came back and they scored 3 runs. And then I think we lost motivation. We weren't, even though we still had that bat left, we were left down, and we just, we kind of fell apart after that. So it's definitely the most devastating. It's also their local team. We wanted to beat them. But, yeah, it didn't work out.
All right, finally, the $1 million question. What is it going to take for Maple Grove to win a sectional title?
I think we're going to have to play some small ball, bunt if we have to get on. Definitely we're going to have to be mentally strong. Because we have a young team. We're going to be put in different situations, diversity, going over that diversity. Yeah.
All right. Well, Colin, thank you for joining us
here
on the show. I'll turn it back over to Tom Prince, who has another interview.
Now we go back to the South Towns. He is one of the top offensive players out of Franklinville. I want to now introduce Noah Shank. Noah, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Noah, you are one of the top offensive leaders on the team this year for Franklinville. Man, that's a real storied program down there. There's a lot of history in that program. How does that make you feel?
It's awesome to be up there with the guys who have come out of Franklinville. Oh, excuse me. Like with Logan, Frank, and all those kids. It's awesome to be up there with them because it just shows that all my hard work that I put in is paying off.
I remember interviewing Logan, too, at one point, right? So here you get a chance to be in those shoes now as one of those leaders that are out there. But let's talk about what's gotten you to this point, right? You play in a very interesting conference here, right? We talked about this with one of the other players that are here, that you literally have to go through Portville, Salamanca, some of the C schools that are top-ranked C schools inside your division for regular play. How do games like that get ready for sectionals?
Well, it really it shows what we can do with bigger schools. Like with Portville and Salamanca, you really see a lot of better pitching. You can see like the diversity throughout their lineup. They can really hit. They can do anything with any of their players, and it just really shows that like as a team for us being like a smaller school and all that, it really shows that we can do what we can do against those teams.
Yeah, and you have. Like in the past, you've been very successful and been able to compete on that stage, no doubt, because Franklinville is always in the mix. What do you consider right now as a team your biggest asset or your biggest thing that's going to help you make a run?
I think it's the energy we bring. I think it really shows in every game we bring it to, because sometimes like there will be games where we don't bring any energy and it shows, but like every game that we've had that we sit there in the dugouts, cheer on our teammates, we always are there for each other, having every player's back. It really shows that it can go a long way in a game.
Noah, you're having a great season personally, right? And I know we don't look at so much ourselves. We want the team to win, right?
Yes, sir.
But you as a personal, right, what you're doing, talk about why you've had such a successful season so far.
Well, as I'm a center fielder, I think I have a very good ball tracking skills in the outfield, and it really helps our team because there's been some kids who we face that can really put the bat on ball, and I love being able to go out and catch them and just get put outs for the team. Batting wise, I definitely have had to have a little bit of a mental fix up, I guess you could say. I was very not confident in my batting for the last couple of years, but this year me and Coach Matrowski would always talk about confidence, going up to the plate, always thinking about what you want to hit, and it's been really working this year for me.
There you go. So my next question would have been, what is the area that you want to work on? It's been the hitting then that you really want to work on, and you obviously have because you've been one of the top offensive leaders here. I want to allude to a little bit what you just said about the outfield. If I'm correct, you don't have a fence at Franklinville, am I right?
We actually do have one now, yes.
Okay, those you didn't have one a couple of years ago, am I right? All right, so when I was down there, so you've added one, which changed the dynamics of a game because you roaming in the outfield could really be big, especially on an open field that you've got to play on sometimes.
Oh, yeah, especially like playing North Collins. We always preach about, like, you've got to have that ball in front of you because even with, like, a turf and stuff like that, it'll bounce. You have to be right in front of it to get that ball. It's just.
That's a great example because that field the ball will just go.
Yeah.
Right? It really will. And you hear about inside the Parker home runs there all the time.
Yep, I finally got my first one there this year.
There you go. Hey, doesn't matter how it is, an inside the park or over the ones, it's still an HR in the books. So, no, let's talk about right now, you're about to go into sectional play, right? What is it going to take for Franklinville to get over the top, get a sectional championship? You win a sectional championship. What happened on the field?
I definitely think the major thing is mental, is just all mental. We got to be there mentally for everything. Just making mistakes. If you make a mistake, you have got to have – Coach Matrowski always says short memory, wipe it. If you have a mistake, you just got to forget about it, move on to the next play, make the next play for the team. You have to do what's best for the team in that moment because that's probably what's it's gonna come down to.
Listen, it's somebody who knows team real well. That's been a team, like I said, that's competed. No doubt Franklinville's going to be in the mix. No, I can't wait to see how it plays out. Honestly, congratulations on a great year yourself. Good luck the rest of the way, buddy.
Thank you very much.
You know we're going to be watching all the way.
Sounds good.
Sometimes it just isn't your day. We all need a little help from time to time. That's why we're committed to providing safe, quick, and cost-effective care. And we keep it simple. Just walk in. We're here for you. Learn more today.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
They're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For all your insurance questions, call the Wolf at 835-WOLF.
We realize now more than ever is the perfect time to have the perfect house. We're confident we'll find your dream home. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
Welcome back to our baseball playoff preview show as we look at Class D. Now, is there a hidden gem, Tom, among these teams in this bracket? A team that, you know, most people wouldn't necessarily expect, but is very dangerous, lurking somewhere in that bracket. I mean, Maple Grove is at the top. I see North Collins number 2. But is there a team in there that can do some serious damage besides those two, you think?
I don't count out number 3, Franklinville. Franklinville is always in the mix there. I think it's the top 3 seeds that are your top 3 seeds in this conference. Ellicottville is always a team that could be very dangerous right there. I know they haven't had a great season, as you've seen, by 5-12. But these records are deceiving in a way because they all play in inside conference play in that CCAA, 1, 2, or 3 division is what they play in. And in some cases, they're playing teams that are up, like in the C's, right? Or even B's in some cases, right?
Well, yeah.
So some of these records could be thrown off a little bit. Barker's the only one who doesn't come out of that the CCAA there, as they'll be a part of the Niagara Orleans conference. And we already talked about how really good this Niagara Orleans was this year. So, this should be interesting, but I do believe that we're talking about the top 3 seeds here that could really come into play into the mix.
Which one of the top 3 do you think has the deepest pitching staff?
I think that's where you're going to look at Maple Grove and North Collins is going to be your top 2. Franklinville, though, is another team that, like I said, is every year you can see sometimes something happens in the regular season. They have a little bump and are right there in the mix competing for a title. I don't count Franklinville. I think that 2-3 matchup in the semifinals could be an absolute fantastic matchup as a non-miss game right there. And then I think you're going to see Maple Grove go right to the finals is what you'll see.
Because, you talk about a bump in the season. Well, most teams along the way have at least one bad game, and sometimes that one bad game can turn into 2 or 3 before they can right the ship. And you don't know from looking at a record how the season played out.
Right.
This team really has this amount of talent. They're really good. Hey, but in this game here, there was an error here, an error there, led to a couple of unearned runs that they couldn't overcome. So
But let's listen to the schedule a little bit, right? They lost to Allegheny Limestone.
This is who lost?
This is Franklinville, right?
Okay. Yep.
Lost to Allegheny Limestone, lost to Salamanca. They do have a loss to North Collins. They lost 9-1 in that one. Lost to Ellicottville, right, who's right in the mix here, lost 9-8. They beat Silver Creek, which we already know is up a division. Beat Randolph, up a division.
Right.
Lost to Portville twice.
And that's up a division too.
That's
right?
it. Lost to Salamanca there. Beat Cattaraugus Little Valley. Then beats North Collins in another close one, lost to Silver Creek up, and then beat Randolph. So you can see as they're going up and down, it's not necessarily as they're playing a very tough division when you look at it. They're not playing necessarily D schools. They're getting challenged along the way that I think could absolutely help. It's kind of like what we talk about at West Seneca West or Sweet Home
Right.
this past year,
Right,
right?
I was just going to say that.
Because they're playing up against some of the better competition. And then the question becomes, did you learn from those competition, and are you able to take it in and be able to do something with it?
And good for all those coaches who schedule that way.
Well, that's a conference thing.
Well, that's
It's not
great.
even- it's not, a lot of those are conference games that they have to play because of the way the conference is set up.
Oh, well, then that's a good thing. Anything that challenges each team or each athlete, I think, is a good thing.
You even look at last one with the C's. Gowanda's in Division I. Gowanda's out there playing Olean and Jamestown, and Gowanda's challenging themselves in division, and then goes out and plays Hamburg right outside the division. They're fearless. He'll play anybody. Tim Smith.
Good for them, and good for Tim. That's great. Anything else anybody wants to add on Class D?
No, I think we got it right there. I mean, this is going to be, like I said, I do believe this will be a 3-horse race, but these 3 that are going to come down are really going to battle it out for a championship.
Awesome. That'll do it for Class D, and we will return with the Monsignor Martin League right after this short break.
Western New York Immediate Care's new locations are now open. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care provides safe, quick, high-quality care at an affordable cost. Our clinicians are trained to diagnose and treat non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses and are equipped with on-site x-ray and labs to help you feel better, faster. With 4 convenient locations open 7 days a week, Western New York Immediate Care is here to help when and where you need us. Visit us online to learn more.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
When you're ready to buy a home, start your search at howardhanna.com. You'll be the first to see new listings, find similar properties, and connect with a local Howard Hanna agent. Get started today at howardhanna.com.
I'm very excited about this next interview. He comes from St. Francis. He is an absolute two-sport star, and he's big on the volleyball court. He's big on the baseball field. He's right now one of the top pitchers in the Monsignor Martin Conference. I want to introduce Aiden Trimper. Aiden, thanks for joining me today, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited to have Aiden. I've actually had the opportunity to coach Aiden, and I want to tell you, from a perspective, this is an absolute great young man that you want to get to know. Thoroughly enjoyed everything about coaching him, and I know every coach will say this truly is a player that you want on your team because he really listens to what you're saying and takes it out in the field. Aiden, you should be very proud of that.
Thank you.
And where that comes from, Aiden, I want to start off. I couldn't believe when I saw this award that you were given, and I want you to talk about it. You were actually awarded the Distinguished Athlete Award, which is an outstanding role model demonstrating courage, self-confidence, and leadership. You got to talk about what that meant to you.
Yeah, it really meant the world. I wasn't really expecting it. You know, we had it at Beck-Laureate, our mass before graduation, and they announced my name, and I was really surprised. I knew I was in the running for it, but just throughout my years at St. Francis, you know, I went in as a freshman. I was right on way on varsity volleyball, and you know, I walked in. I was scared, new school, new people. And I got taken under the wing of a junior named Jake. And ever since then, I knew when I became a junior and I was going to be a leader on the team, whether it's volleyball or baseball, I had to start taking guys under my wing. And I had to, you know, be the role model, be the leader. You know, I'm a bigger guy. I know everyone looks up to me at school. I got to fill that role and, you know, do my best to allow the next guys to come through and really then they can take that spot.
Well, that to me just says a lot about you. And I really was, you know, blown away when I saw that, and I truly felt the same exact way of the people that gave you that award, that it was something you deserved. Now let's talk about you as a pitcher in the Monsignor Martin Conference. It is one of the toughest conferences when you talk about what you're going to deal with day in and day out, right? Mm-hmm. You know you're going to have a tough game with St. Joe's. You know Nichols is strong this year, right? You know St. Mary's brings it year after year, right? And then, St. Joe's, right, is going to be one of the top teams, not only in Monsignor Martin, but in all of Western New York. Mm-hmm. Talk about what kind of mentality you've got to have going from game to game inside the Monsignor Martin Conference.
Yeah, you know, we have multiple top 10 teams in Western New York in our conference, you know, of only 6 teams, but it's one of the hardest conferences out there. And I just got to go, whenever I'm headed out to that mound, I got to think, you know, you're out there for a reason. And there's nothing that's going to stop you from being successful. I got to get up there and have confidence. If I have any slight of doubt in my mind and myself, it'll show, and they'll start battling up balls. And I'll start hanging curveballs, or, you know, I'll miss a spot. But if I have that confidence, I'll use my legs, get down the mound, and I'll keep hitting spots, and they won't hit the ball.
So let's talk about that, right? About hitting your spots and do all those things, right? Last year, you definitely have taken a step up on the baseball field for St. Francis this year, right? What do you think's been the biggest difference because of that on the mound?
I really just think it's the confidence that, like, Coach Bartell and my teammates have put in myself. You know, myself along with Brady Hill and Ben Mahalski, we've been named captains. You know, that brings a responsibility of us, you know, leading the team. And I know everyone in that field, whether, you know, it's my catcher, Luke Rybczynski, or the other guys behind me in the field, they have confidence that I can hit a spot, get us back inside that dugout so we can get the sticks out.
There you go. Listen, we already alluded to in the very beginning, you were a star volleyball player, star baseball player. Is there anything that you can take from one sport and help you with another? Like anything you've done in volleyball that helps you towards baseball, and baseball that helps you towards volleyball, that helps you become a better player?
Really, it's all mental. It's the leadership ability that I've had in volleyball, being a 2-year captain, junior and senior year. I was able to take that into baseball and really do my best to lead the other guys, the younger guys on my team. And the physical aspect, you know, volleyball helps me move a little more, a little more mobile, a little more athletic, and that just had me, you know, being able to spring off the mound, get a bunt, double play, anything like that.
Yeah, it makes complete sense how they do correlate right there. Now, it's playoff time, right? Yeah. It's big time now, right? And don't tell me this Monsignor Martin, they don't get passionate about playing whoever you're going to play. I don't care what game it is, right? If it happens, St. Francis gets crowned Monsignor Martin champions, what had to play out on the field for that?
We got to swing the bats. We got to be aggressive early in the counts. I'm very confident in our defense. I think we have one of the best pitching staffs around. Me, Noah Albano, Andrew Cook. We got the Hilton twins. I think we're set with that. But swinging early, we don't want to be, behind in counts, and then we're guessing on pitches. We need to attack those early fastballs, attack those early curveballs that they might just try to drop in, and really be aggressive early.
Aiden off to University of South Carolina, correct? He's no doubt future is going to be amazing. Can't wait to see how it plays out. This is going to be a fun Monsignor Martin Conference Finals, or semifinals to finals. I can't wait to see you. Good luck the rest of the way, Aiden.
Thank you so much.
You've done a fantastic job. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished. Great job, buddy. Let's head it over to Francis.
All right, I'm with Ty Grazek of St. Joe's. And Ty, let's start with this. St. Joe's baseball, one of the top programs in all of Western New York, regardless of sport. 14-7 this year. We'll get into this season a little bit, but tell me, why is this St. Joe's program so successful? Why have they been so successful the past 10 or so years?
Well, not just with any sport, but the St. Joe's programs all throughout the whole sports. It's a brotherhood. All of us, we have chemistry. We build it throughout the school year. Even in the off season, we grow throughout the year, and specifically with baseball, Coach Naska, he just brings it out with us. His passion to the game and with everything for us, he takes control and shows love to freshmen to varsity players throughout the whole year.
You guys, 14-7 this year, 9-1 in Monsignor Martin for this season. What's been the key to St. Joe's baseball 2023?
Our competitiveness. We give up a home run, nothing gets us down. We come back the next inning firing. We always show our passion to the game, and we always come out firing all cylinders.
Describe that for me. What do you mean by passion for the game?
Every kid in this team knows their role. They know they're important. Even if they're not playing this game, they know maybe the next game they'll get in. They have to do what they are taught and have trying to do the whole year.
And that's a team with, usually multiple guys who are either playing at the next level or at least capable of playing at the next level. What is it like to be on a team surrounded by so many guys who are that talented?
It just brings out the competitiveness again. Like, you're always working harder to get on that field. You got people above you. There's always somebody out in the world that will be better, and it just drives us every day to be better.
All right, I want to turn the attention to you for a second. You're batting .362. If I were to describe you as a baseball player in 1 to 2 sentences, how would I do it?
Passionate, and I compete. Hitting, on the mound. I give up a home run, same thing, next pitch. I always try to not let anything get in my head, try to improve the mentality as much as I can to show that I'm here to win, I'm here to compete.
Which aspect of your game are you most proud of? Just give me one.
The competitiveness of my game. I just always show that I want to win. I'm there to be there for my team and know my role.
All right, you guys won the Georgetown Cup last year. Obviously, expectations are to win it again, but you guys really want to go farther than that. You lost in the state semis last year. What is it going to take to finally get over that hump, win a state title? What does this program need to do to take the next step?
Fielding, especially hitting. We got to keep the bats hot. We have a couple hot bats, Sean Connor, Josh Eagle, Anthony Greco. They got to stay hot. They keep showing up for us. Defense has been solid all year. We got to keep going with that and now get us to the state title.
All right, Ty, thank you for joining us. I'll turn it back over to Tom Prince.
My next interview, he comes from Nichols. He's probably been one of the biggest surprises inside the Monsignor Martin Conference. He's come out strong this year with some big games that we're going to go talk about. My next player, Mike Zacher from Nichols. Mike, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, Mike, let's talk about it, right? How you really have come onto the season, right? Where if we were to pick out all the top people in Monsignor Martin early as a preseason, you may not have had your name there, right? But you've still planted it there now. Talk about what's been so successful to this season for you.
Really just not letting anything get to me. Always just trying to see a fastball, always trying to hit the fastball. If I see a fastball early, I'm always swinging at it. I don't want to get deep in the counts. I don't want to give the power to the pitcher. So but just kind of competitiveness, just working through it.
It's a great mentality. They've actually proven by batting averages, what's the highest batting average? First pitch strike. Yep. First pitch in the account is always the highest of averages. So that makes complete sense out there. But you went on a stretch here where you went no hitter and 3 straight games with a home run. It's one heck of a stretch right there. Walk me through that stretch and what happened.
Just like not really overthinking anything. Like I didn't really care like who like the pitcher was. Like just like kind of me and him. Like it was just a game that we were playing. Like that's why I love baseball so much. Like it's a game within a game, and kind of just a battle between the pitcher and the catcher. Like you just got to work through that. And kind of like after those 3 games, like I was probably at my high right there. Like it felt really good, and then I just want to keep riding up there.
Talk about who was the no-hitter against?
Timon.
So Timon. So a Monsignor Martin game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a big game for you right there. When inside that game did you realize, I got my stuff here, man? Like this is going to be something special.
Probably about maybe like the 3rd inning. I had 1 walk. I think they put a couple balls in play, like decent like hit balls. Just had my defense there to make the plays.
That's awesome. Now talk about the home runs. Who did they go consecutively against?
I believe Maryville, Ken West, and then Timon.
So they, listen to that. And there's a good team that's mixed in there, right?
Yeah.
That Maryville team was a big game for you guys and really was starting to see how good this Nichols program goes, and it all came through, and you could see you were a part of the mix in there. So as the Monsignor Martin playoffs, it's a best-of-3 series, right? Which is very different from what we've talked about all day at Section 6. It's one game, you got to win and move on. It's a 3-game series, right? Talk about how the mentality is different for a 3-game series versus a one-and-done.
I guess, like, after the first game, like, if it doesn't go your way, like, don't hang your head. Like, always come back to the next game, always, like, ready to win. Like, we want to be hungry for, like, a win. But obviously winning that first game is going to matter because then we have a little bit of an upper edge. But it's not too different. It's, like, just a game on the field.
Will you get a chance with enough days off in the Monsignor Martin Conference, do you think, for a pitcher to go game 1 and then possibly return back for game 3?
I wouldn't say so. Usually the games are like Thursday, Friday, then a Saturday, so they're all kind of like back-to-back unless the first game you kind of just like throw maybe like 50 pitches, and then you maybe can throw the 3rd game.
Or rain comes into play, which could make a difference inside of any sort of series that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, you're right now the underdogs, as you know, right? But, boy, you're playing that role nicely this year. And you know you've been competing with some of the big teams inside the Monsignor Martin Conference. Talk about, if Nichols were to go on to win a championship, what had to happen out there on the field?
I mean, we just got to make the easy plays. Like, I'm more than confident in all of our defense. Outfield is outstanding. Everyone's got a great arm. Infield's solid. We just got to, like, take the plays, like, take the outs that they're giving us and get those outs. And if something doesn't go our way, don't hang our heads. And then obviously we got to swing the bat. If the bats stay hot, no one's going to beat us.
Mike, listen, you've had a special season. You really have. And love what you've done. And your coach has been, I know, extremely proud of a lot of things that you've accomplished. Great season so far. Keep it alive. Can't wait to see if Nichols is going to keep themselves in the mix. It's going to be a fun one to watch. But, Mike, you've been big reason for the success of Nichols. Great job this season, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
And now we're going to send it over to Francis.
All right, last but certainly not least, we have Justin Ball here from Canisius. So, Justin, let's start with this. Last year, very good season. You made it to the Georgetown Cup Finals within a game, which is a couple of runs of winning a Georgetown Cup. This year, bit of a different story. How would you describe your season for the Crusaders?
Oh, well, really, our pitching hasn't been a problem for us in those losses. I mean, Joe Chayman and Cooper Prizel have been electric for us, but for us right now, it's the bats. We got to be swinging early and not letting too many fastballs get by. But besides that, our league play, they've all been really tight games. Won tight games, lost tight games. So it's just sticking through and playing all 7 innings.
Yeah, you had an extra inning games against Joe's, your rival. What is that like to go in an extra inning game against your rival, perhaps one of the biggest rivalries in all of Western New York? What was that game like?
It was electric. I mean, we lost that game, but I didn't see anything wrong with the way we played. We both played great games. Again, great pitching. It's just they had one more timely hit and we couldn't find it.
All right, I'm going to turn the attention to you for a second. I have you down as a 362 average on the season. If I were to describe you as a baseball player in 1 to 2 sentences, how would I do it?
I'd say aggressive. Me, when I'm hitting, I try and look fastball, hit fastball, and then once if I get down to 2 strikes and I don't get my pitch, then for me it's just widen up and it's fight mode, stay aggressive, swing at everything close, and just wait for that pitcher to make a mistake and make him pay for it.
You guys got your new field this year, right? It's Trinity Complex, that turf. What has it been like to play on that brand new field there?
It's awesome. I mean, we got our field blessed against St. Francis. Then we played, in my opinion, our best game of the year, which is when we walked them off. And after playing at Hilbert College last year, it's just great. I love everything about it.
It's nice to have your own place to call home, right?
Yeah, it is. And I've never experienced that, so.
All right, and then we're going to answer the million-dollar question. You know, you guys didn't have the greatest regular season, but if there's a way to do this, to beat the teams in front of you, could be a St. Joe's, a Nichols, St. Francis, what is it going to take for this Canisius team to win a Georgetown Cup?
Aggressive and timely hitting. Swinging at early fastballs, don't let count gets too deep, and just be aggressive at the plate. There's no problem with our pitching. Our fielding's doing well. We're making all the plays necessary. It's just we got to put runners on the bases. I don't care if we're getting hits or we're getting walked or getting on errors. Just strikeouts can't happen, and we just got to put balls in play.
All right, well, Justin, thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you guys luck in sectionals.
Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we're going to look at that Monsignor Martin bracket and wrap things up. This is the 2023 Western New York Athletics Baseball Playoff Preview Show.
Sometimes it just isn't your day. We all need a little help from time to time. That's why we're committed to providing safe, quick, and cost-effective care. And we keep it simple. Just walk in. We're here for you. Learn more today.
Do you insure a lot of businesses?
Yes, we do.
How about restaurants?
We got a bunch.
Do you cover property damage?
Yes, we do.
How about my equipment?
Covered.
How about sewer backup?
We got it.
What if my cook gets hurt?
They're covered.
Foodborne illnesses?
Covered.
What if my party tent goes down?
Covered under property damage.
And you say this is all under one policy?
One policy.
When do I pay?
Once a month.
Just one time?
Just one.
Is there anything you don't cover?
What's your record for consecutive questions asked?
31.
Tables. We don't do tables.
Gotta love Buffalo.
For all your insurance questions, call the Wolf at 835-WOLF.
We realize now more than ever is the perfect time to have the perfect house. We're confident we'll find your dream home. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
Welcome back for our final segment, talking a little bit of Monsignor Martin baseball. Overall, Tom, is it fair to say it looks like it's a little bit of a down year for the league baseball-wise? Because usually there's 3-4 teams that are in there battling out, but it seems this year that St. Joe's is the one that is the most dominant of the teams.
Yeah, but we've seen that in a couple of years in the past, but then they get challenged during playoff time,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt, no doubt.
And, hopefully that's what we're going to see again so that we see really good, baseball. I mean, St. Joe's sitting at 9-1, St. Francis 7-3, Canisius 6-4, and then Nichols 4-5-1, right, are your top four. We talked to Nichols with Mike Zacher. It is somebody who can absolutely cause havoc inside this thing. But remember, here's the difference why the Monsignor Martin, for the most part, plays out like it should. It's because it's not one game and done, right? It's it's a series, right?
Yeah, it's a best of
it's
three,
the best of
Georgetown
three
Cup.
there. So it plays out much differently. This is where you have to have a full pitching staff
you
and
just
really
can't
be
have
able to
one. You
exactly
have some depth, right?
And that's why you have to give the edge right now to St. Joe's because of what the pitching staff is and how deep it is. That's really, to me, what the biggest difference is there. Like I just watched, St. Joe's come to play Orchard Park in a scrimmage, in essence, is what it was. And I watched, a good 5-6 kids that thrown with nice velocity that really could easily have an impact on a game.
That's great.
And and not too many of the guys probably you consider maybe their ace or their number 2 either, right?
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. And then you did hear, Aiden Trimper talk about him having a staff, right? He's got 4 guys on that staff. Trimper himself, Noah's actually throwing in the upper 80s is when he actually will get there,
that's
right?
really
And then they got the Hilton twins that are involved in there. One's a lefty, one's a righty, right? Both absolutely can pitch. Off to Hilbert is where I know at least one of them are going. And you're going to be talking about, like I said, another deep staff right there, which is why you're seeing such a good record for them. I think right now as it plays out, I don't, you should see St. Joe's and St. Francis. But listen, that Monsignor Martin Conference is so different than anything we ever realized.
That is true.
You
That's across the board for sports, really.
It is. The passion that comes out of your school versus another school, it's just not parallel, to like it is in other divisions. Like, don't get me wrong, a Lancaster Orchard Park game is tons of passion, but it's not with every single team in the division there,
true.
right? And you know what I mean? Like we talked about Orchard Park and Will North this year, right? So there's 2 great matchups, but the problem is inside like a AA conference, Orchard Park doesn't play Lockport all the time, doesn't play Niagara Falls all the time, right? There's not those matchups to where you can really get passionate about.
There's not as much history.
Bingo. And there's just so much passion that you really can't count that out inside these matchups. I just think it's something special to watch on how it plays out. And there's a reason, why we'll see what we see happen. But I think right now you got to give the edge to St. Joe's and St. Francis to be able to make this final.
Georgetown Cup, do we know where it's being played this year?
The finals will be at the Sal Magley.
Sal Magley, which, by the way, has been beautifully refurbished and looks absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
So that'll be a fun thing to keep an eye on and watch, and hopefully it'll draw some good crowds too. And hopefully all these baseball games get some good crowds because maybe the weather has turned a corner.
Yeah, let's hope. And you're supposed to get some nice weather, but I'm going to tell you, there are some great matchups. And I will tell you, folks, if you don't know and you don't realize, there are a lot of Division I players or players that will be recruited Division I that are out there. Get out and see some of these games because we've got some fantastic baseball players here in Western New York.
Or watch them on the NFHS network.
Yeah, that too.
Absolutely.
Or go to the game and then watch the game later on the
There you go. Watch all the highlights. There you go, right?
So Tom, is there a team or 2 or maybe 3 that you think has the best chance of bringing home a state title or at the very least getting to Binghamton in the finals in whatever division?
So, Stu, like we talked about earlier in one of the conferences, what's very interesting about baseball is how once you get to the sectional final, how it plays out, right? Outside of A and B, because remember, they have to do a crossover game, okay? So double A's, C's, D's do not have a crossover game. So what happens is they play the sectional final on a weekend and won't play the next game until the following weekend.
Yeah, I think it's the 27th, so Saturday will be the final, and then the Saturday after will be Far West Regional.
Right. And then a week after is the state semifinals.
So in other words, they can pitch their ace in all 3 games.
Bingo. So now you start to look at what teams have an ace that's out there, right? And then what teams can win a state or win a sectional title up to that point, right? And that's where you talk about there's a lot of teams that we could be talking about, right? Think about Depew. Depew's got enough pitching to do that, and then could essentially throw Josh Toolin every single game if they wanted to.
Well, no, Depew's in Class B, so they have a crossover.
Right. But again, here's a 1-2 punch there.
Yeah.
You still could go Toolin in a championship, Woodley right now in the B1-2 crossover, and then have Toolin back for the regional, the regionals there, which would be very, very interesting to see. And again, I'm just using them as an example that's out there.
Good example.
Right.
So another question. Go ahead. Finish your answer, then I have another question for you.
So, and again, but I look at all those schools that we're talking about there that really can do that and really could cause some damage. And you look at C, Gowanda's got Portville, right? That whoever wins that final really, to me, could really be in the driver's seat to make a run. That could be potentially a Gowanda-Portville matchup if it happens. Could potentially be like a state championship type matchup. That's how good both these teams are.
Well, that'd be awesome to see. Now, my other question, and you may not have given this much thought just yet, but do you have a Final 5. Have you narrowed it down for the Colpoys Award winner as the Player of the Year yet?
So I think there are a lot of players that are in the mix.
Yeah,
I really do. I do believe that we haven't really seen someone take control.
And that's
yet,
what we're
you know
waiting
what I mean?
for the playoffs.
And that's where I think the playoffs going to be the separation factor. We have a lot of players that have absolutely put their stamp on the season, right?
No doubt.
We talked to a few of them here today.
No doubt.
We're also haven't talked to a few of them that are here. There's some great players we have not talked to that are here. And remember, the reason we did this was we really took players from the top-seeded teams. That's all this was about. This wasn't about who the top player was or who's going to be a finals or player of the year. It's none of that. But I'm going to tell you, there is a lot of players that this is going to be narrowed down, and it could get narrowed down right here because of the offseason.
All right. Final thoughts. Anybody? Anybody? Other final thoughts? Because you've really wrapped up everything nicely here, really.
Anything you want to add?
I just think it's going to be a really exciting playoffs. I think, especially when you look at B and you look at the run Depew's on, I think they have something special over there.
I'm not going to argue that. I like Depew, not only because of their pitching, but the way they play defense.
I'll tell you, that B is loaded.
Yeah, you're right about that.
It is loaded.
Yeah,
Now,
Depew and Maryvale could potentially see each other again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Pioneer is going to be in the mix in that. Like we talked about, some of the lower seeds over there, too. Like having Roy Hart where they are. How about 8-9 seed we saw for Salamanca 7 seed in their division, right? Southwestern versus Medina. How that's a matchup you better be circling out there, right? There's some great early round matchups that if they get through, the top seed better watch out, because if you overlook any of these teams, they're going to be hungry and they're going to come after you. Like we talked about, think about this, that Southwestern Medina matchup, which is an 8-9 matchup. Jamison Walsh go head-to-head with Aiden Paul.
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
Jamison Walsh took Maryville to a 2-1 matchup and lost it in the bottom of the 7th at West New York Athletics Day. This kid's legit, right? And then you add Aiden Paul from Medina.
He's legit, too.
That could be a possible 0-0 game going into extra innings, and it's going to be up to the bullpen to see who wins it.
It's so funny that everybody, well, not everybody, but most people like home runs, lots of offense, but it all comes down to the pitching.
Yep.
The starting pitchers matchup is what generally, like if you could say that Depew against Maryvale and the two starters, whoever they are, we had a great matchup the other day at Maryvale. And that's what it always comes down to. A lot of teams have some really good pitching, so it should be an awful lot of fun. And hopefully 1, 2, 3, 4 or more teams from Western New York wind up in Binghamton, and the Monsignor Martin League winds up wherever their Catholic League championship for the state is going to be.
I believe it's
going
to be downstate this year.
Usually is, right? Well, no, it alternates, I know, but it feels like it's down there more
Yeah,
often,
I was told it was
doesn't it?
downstate.
10 years since the last state championship.
And who was that?
I don't remember who exactly, but it's been 10 years since there's been a state title won in baseball.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yep. That doesn't mean we have teams get to the finals.
Last
win.
year
Win
Hamburg got there,
Yep.
and they lost that game. They lost the championship game. You and I did that game. That was a fun weekend.
I'm going to use my final note as Hamburg as the example. Folks, you never know when you're going to get to a level like that. And this could be the year that you get to that level. Man, make sure you realize you got to leave everything there, because you don't know when that next chance is going to come. It may never come again. There are people at higher levels that will tell you that they've gone all the way to the championships in their first year and think they're going to get back every year. And it doesn't happen. You have to make sure you realize this is your moment. You got to play like it's the last time you're ever going to get a chance to play out on that field. And for seniors, it's going to be your last time. And I'll tell you this, you'll never, as you get to our ages that are here, you never want to go back and say, if I only did this, I would have been a champ.
You're right about that.
Right? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Make sure you realize you're in that moment and leave everything left there, so you can say I at least did my very best and I left it out on the field.
Can't argue with that. The only thing I can tell you is when you're a parent and your high school years end for your kids and they play sports, is you well know this, and hopefully you one day know this. It's very bittersweet. Great 4 years or 3 years or however many years, and then it just ends, and there's a big void, even if they play collegiately. It's just different. High school is a special time, so like Tom says, take advantage of your opportunities and leave it all out there. We hope that everybody enjoyed this show. Good luck to all the Section 6 teams and the Monsignor Martin Leagues. We look forward to some fantastic baseball. And that'll do it. Good luck to everybody. For Tom Prince, Francis Beck, and Heidi Gunther, I'm Stu Boyer. Have a good night, everybody.